I am here. We are here. Almost completely ready. Minor delay with a little bit of the setup, but that was not meant to be that sudden. How you doing, Paul? Can you hear me?
Good, Andres. I can hear you. All systems go.
All systems go. How about the G diffusers, though?
Diffuser ready.
Okay. I just want to make sure that all the audio stuff is correct. I feel like I don't know, for some reason the mic seems a little quiet. Let me double check my end. Guys, in the chat, let me know how everything is looking and sounding now before we really dive into things here. All right. I think my mic is fine. Yeah. Paul, how are you doing? Can you talk to me for a bit?
Yeah. I hear you okay. Hopefully I sound all right. Microphone is pretty close.
Okay.
Audio
sounds a little quiet. Your mic sounds a little quiet to me for some reason. Let me check that.
Do I sound quiet?
You said. Yeah. I'm raising the volume on my end.
Okay.
All right, talk now. How does it feel?
All right. Andres, chat. This is Star Fox. You copy.
Okay. Guys in the chat, let me know if everything looks and sounds good. I think we're good to go though. I think so. But if there's any tweaks that are needed, let me know. Everyone in the chat, I'd very much appreciate it. But yeah. Here we are. Let's talk. Let's talk about Star Fox. All right. Pokemon fan, DDKOD said it's good on their end. That's good. That's good to go. That's good to hear. Demonic Brawler, two of my favorite underrated Nintendo YouTubers, are on one live stream. Let's go. Glad you like us. Glad you like us. We got things to talk about tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So,
do you remember when was our video? When did we last talk? I probably should have checked right before.
Let's look this up. So, I think we did a live stream together.
We did a live stream and we did a back and forth Fox talk. Okay, September 15th, 2024. So a year and a half ago was our video that we'd like bounced back each other's ideas. So that means sometime before or after we did like a live stream together on your channel.
Yeah. I don't know why. Your mic still sounds... Maybe it's the echo cancellation. All right, talk now.
Okay. How do I sound now compared to...
Just sound really quiet.
Quiet. It's almost too quiet.
It's too quiet. It sounds too quiet to me.
Do I sound okay to chat or just to you I sound too quiet? I mean, I want to sound...
Yeah, does Paul just only sound quiet to me? Does he sound fine to you guys? Maybe you can raise the gain on your
I turned the dials up. I don't know if that helps at all.
All right. It does seem like you sound a little quiet. I don't know.
I mean, without let's just see what happens if I crank it up more. I don't know if that's helping or hurting.
It's not hurting.
Any better?
A little better.
Okay.
A little, not a lot.
Huh.
They think you sound nice.
He sounds good now. Too quiet.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. All right. Two ideas. Because when you first came on, I didn't like the moment you came on, I didn't seem like you were too quiet to me. But sometimes all right. Right click. If you ever run into this issue, I run into this issue sometimes. Right click your sound settings. You know how to do that? How to get
on
your sound settings?
Streamlabs or elsewhere?
On your desktop.
Okay. Sound settings.
Okay. And then if you can scroll down to where your microphone is and click on it, you see like an arrow.
Yes.
Okay, click on that. And you should see the input volume under input settings.
It's at
What does it
73.
say? 73?
Yeah.
Crank that to 100.
Alrighty. How about this?
Slightly better.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Anyway, I can hear you. So, let's just talk.
all right.
Let's just talk. Yeah. So, anyway, but yeah, it's been a
been a
long
while.
time since we've talked about this. We both did our own videos on it. We did a live stream together as well. And we were both like, yeah, we think Star Fox is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm pretty sure both you and I were on the same page. Like, we weren't like saying, hey, it's going to come at such and such time exactly. Like, but we were both like, we think it's coming, and we don't think we have to wait very long. I think we were both on that same page.
It felt like with how successful the Nintendo Switch generation was, you could only recycle certain IP so many times. So what else is left that's like the next big thing to come? 3D Donkey Kong? Yeah. We know Metroid Prime 4 would be on the way. So Star Fox, kind of like, that one made sense. It's a beloved
Apparently
franchise.
Now I'm echoing. Maybe it's your earphones. Maybe because I feel maybe it's a bad. Do you have headphones you can put on? Maybe that might help.
No, but let me, you know what? Sometimes this does happen. Let me do a quick unplug, replug.
Sure. I'll just check in with the chat in the meanwhile. Maybe that's what it is. So I'll mute you. Just wave at me, and then yeah.
Okay, I think I'm back.
Oh. Okay.
I am back. I mean, yeah.
Hi. I do hear me through you.
Demonic Brawler says no, it's you, Andres Restart.
I mean,
I'm sure he didn't say it in that way.
But I have my headset in, so like there's no way the audio can loop like this. So because I do hear a little bit of an echo. Or now. It's subtle. It's not like, I don't think it's like really bad. But it is there.
See, you sound just fine. I don't know how I sound. I'm only hearing myself speak. I don't have...
yeah, the thing is, like, you're hearing me through a speaker. And that speaker noise is getting into your mic. If that makes any sense.
I see. You know what? Let me lower down the volume on my speaker. It doesn't need to be that loud. I can still hear you.
Okay, as long as you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that's an option.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is better at least.
Okay, this is better. Yeah, as long as I could hear you enough, I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately, minor audio issues. But here we are. So we both thought this would happen. And now it's not confirmed to be happening yet.
True.
To be clear, right? I mean, but Fox was in the Mario Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
Not a backpack.
No. Oh, no.
A Fox McCloud from Star Fox, from a different universe, got into the Mario Galaxy movie. And you know how I am with the cross-promotional theories. I believe you're right on the same page with me on that stuff. Like, clearly Nintendo wants to branch out their IP, right? Put them in the movies, put them in the parks, the merchandising, and then turning that around into boosting their popularity with their actual games and vice versa. And so I think the clear, most obvious, best example is what literally has just happened with Donkey Kong, right? We saw the redesign. We saw him in the first Mario movie. We saw the park. We saw the return of the 2D Donkey Kong series with Country Returns HD, and it all peaked with Donkey Kong Bonanza as that second giant title for Switch 2. And now maybe you could even argue the Mario Odyssey team has split off to have a dedicated developer to Donkey Kong moving forward. That's a theory, not confirmed, but clearly Donkey Kong is back in a very big way. And now Nintendo has replaced the Donkey Kong role with Fox McCloud with this latest movie. And now we have the reports that a Star Fox is going to be getting announced this month and coming out in June.
in less than 23 days. I mean, one of
Could be
these
tomorrow.
days, we
Could
could.
be 20 days from now.
Oh,
We don't somewhere within the next 23 days, we're gonna see the next new Star Fox, and in just a few short couple months, we're gonna be playing the next new Star Fox.
my gosh. You know, very fittingly, Star Fox 64, one of my favorite games of all time, was a June 1997 release. So I think June for Star Fox Returns, or whatever this is called, is like a perfect summer title, coupled with the prospect of online multiplayer being rumored. And I mean, there's so many things about this that line up just right. You know, with the movie, adding the trailer of the game to the end of the movie, you know, post credits. Just why not throw it in there? You just enjoyed seeing Fox McCloud in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Check him out this summer in Star Fox whatever on Nintendo Switch 2. Bam, run the trailer. Like, that's more incentive to go back to the movie, because some of us will want to see that trailer on the big screen, and some folks that are watching the movie for the first or whatever time will be like, dude, that guy was awesome. That game looks awesome. Let's go.
Yeah,
It just
I mean,
makes sense.
It feels like they're gonna strike while the iron's hot. That's what the reports suggest. But you know, how hot are they gonna strike now while it's piping hot? Like I want it to happen this week. Like I want it to happen like tomorrow.
What's more advantageous? Fox Fever is right here, so now is when you announce it? Or is there some strategy where, okay, the movie does this, as all movies do, and this Fox announcement is like a bloop, a little bloop, a little bump, or not as big of a drop as a result? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or do they want to wait until more people have seen the movie, so more people are thinking about Star Fox, and once they feel like they've gone maybe the peak numbers for Star Fox in the for Mario movie in the theater, that's when they think they have the widest audience that can react to Fox McCloud in the new Star Fox game.
I would think before it hits digital, which they announced the digital date of like really early May, did they not?
Really?
I think they already announced when it's releasing on stream, I should say. Not quite digital, but, you know, on stream. If I'm not mistaken, it's something like May 7th or May 5th. I know that they already have the pre-orders available for the disc versions of it. So I think this trailer comes out within 4 weeks of the film, which kind of puts it at before April is over, you know, maybe early May. One of these random days, though, we're just going to wake up and on the Nintendo Today app or X or combination, we're just going to see Star Fox right there, dude.
Yeah. So we're going to get to the chat in a couple of minutes here, but supposedly this game, right, is going to be a classic Star Fox game with incredible visuals. I believe the words Nate used in his podcast were satisfying visuals. Good. There was two. He had two phrases. I have notes here on it. He said, and I quote, "Very good visuals," and he also said, "Very satisfying."
Yeah.
So take that for what you will, but you know, my thinking here is like we haven't really gotten a Nintendo-made Switch 2 game that's really taking advantage of the hardware. Like, you could say Metroid Prime 4 looks great, it does. Donkey Kong Bonanza looks great, it does. Mario Kart World looks great, it does. They do look great. But all of these titles were started off as Switch 1 titles. Metroid Prime 4 is a Switch 1 title, enhanced on Switch 2 a bit. Donkey Kong and Mario Kart transitioned mid-development to be Switch 2 titles. They're clearly not possible on Switch 1 in their current forms, but they're not quite push. They don't leave the impression they're quite pushing the Switch 2 to its limits. And of course, you know, when we're talking about the development cycles for video game systems, it's always the early on titles that don't take full advantage, and as you get deeper into the life cycle, devs push more and more out of the hardware. That's standard. But what's really interesting is that outside of Pokemon Legends ZA, which is also a Switch 1 title, just slightly enhanced on Switch 2, so again, not that big of a deal, we haven't seen Nintendo games take advantage of DLSS, NVIDIA's deep learning super sampling on the console, which can make games look a lot better. Third-party games are utilizing it, right? Like a lot of third-party games are utilizing DLSS. Resident Evil, Cyberpunk, I'm sure the list goes on. And these games are looking fantastic. Like, we are getting games that are being made for consoles that are like several times the size of the Switch 2, far more powerful. So, well, actually, maybe not so. They are more powerful. PS5 is more powerful than the Switch 2, but the gap is being bridged here significantly. I'm still playing Resident Evil. I'm going through it again, and it's just really cool how like I can play this game on my Switch 2 and not feel like I'm playing a lesser experience. And that's the vision, right? But my point is that that's kind of what DLSS enables on the Switch 2, and we haven't seen that effect applied to the Nintendo games yet. So I then wonder, with Star Fox, which, by the way, Star Fox historically is known to be a visual showcase. Not Zero's the exception, but typically Star Fox is a visual showcase for Nintendo hardware. And it's also like part of that's because of the design structure. It's not like a massive open world, heavy physics-based game where they have to, dilute their resources. If this is going to be a classic style Star Fox, we're talking about a lot of on-rails gameplay and things of that nature. I mean, you just look at a lot of open world games that look impressive on Switch 2, like Star Wars Outlaws, for example, which is maybe in a lot of ways similar to what a Star Fox game could be. That looks incredible, and that's a massive open world game. What could they do scaled down? Nintendo, who usually pushes hardware better than third parties. Like, I'm very curious on how this game is going to look.
Depending on the studio making it, if it's in-house, if it's third party, if it's a collaborative effort, it lends itself to being kind of, like you said, more likely than not, some type of visual stunner due to the nature of the game. Being on rails and being flight-based means you don't have to worry about every little nook and cranny on every blade of grass down below that Link is going to be walking through because you're in an R-Wing flying over it. So that means that there are more tricks that you could get away with to still make that ground look awesome. The polygon count, I'm sure, on the R-Wing itself is going to be higher than ever before. I mean, if you look back at Star Fox Zero, it looked pretty good in terms of the R-Wing itself. The art style in the environments was more simple than Star Fox Assault. Star Fox Assault, despite lesser hardware in the GameCube, had a lot of art involved. It was very well composed in terms of the rocks and the trees and all that. Was that?
It just felt really ambitious. Assault felt like they really tried.
And here, you've got many times more powerful than Wii U, and let alone GameCube, of course. So I think that any of these on-rail segments is just going to be this visual roller coaster of, the R-Wing, but we'll see the art direction they take. Are they going to go for hyper-realistic, or what else could be good? Because there could be animated, cel-shaded, that could still look really good. They could go for something really strikingly different, like, you know what? We want this game to stand so far apart, we're going to go with a puppeteering kind of look. And doesn't mean it's going to be kiddie or anything like that. It's just, no, we're going to make it like animatronic OG Fox McCloud & Co. from Star Fox for SNES or the E3 puppeteering look. And those are the types of characters that you're going to be seeing in the cockpit and anybody in any kind of cutscene. And the environment, not to say Yoshi's Crafted World, but is just a different type of, holy cow, is that amazing. Like, some people could look at a really good-looking Lego game and say, that looks incredible, and some people's art style doesn't gravitate towards that. But could you still have a great-looking Lego game? Yeah, you could have a great-looking anything. I'm just running through different possibilities. I think the safer thing is kind of like a realistic looking game or some type of cell shaded ish experience. I don't know. I trust that they're going to do something nice, because something that you said before, kind of historically, Star Fox has been a visual showcase piece. Like SNES, it was, here's what the Super FX chip could do.
Right. It was a polygonal game. There was actual like geometry on the Super Nintendo, a 16-bit 2D console. Like
ahead of its time. Star Fox 64, it despite being 1 year into the console's life, basically, especially if you count the Japanese release of N64, like literally 1 year anniversary, pretty much. It was a visual showcase, and also it introduced rumble technology, so it brought something else with it. Star Fox Assault
now, HD Rumble 2, actually, right? So like, I'm actually very eager to just feel that. I was actually I bring Resident Evil again, but like in Resident Evil, like you can feel the raindrops on your controller hitting your controller, which is really cool. I'm very interested to see if they kind of, as you brought up, like with that rumble technology, that history, like, hey, let's actually like push what you can do with the HD Rumble.
When my R-Wing loses its right wing, I want to feel a little bit of weight, a little bit of gravity.
Or like the burning, like you can tell that, oh, there's something wrong with my right side or my left side. Yeah, that would be so cool.
The left one, the right one, when it boosts, I want to feel the rumble go from the front to the back of the controller as if it was like a G-force making you go, huh,
You're getting my mind like turning now. So like now I'm like, hey, so you know how like with Nintendo Labo, you could create like a pedal and stuff. You could just play Mario Kart, pedal in the wheel to play Mario Kart. And then eventually had the Labo VR. Like, what if like Star Fox had a VR component, right? And maybe it's done with Labo as an option. Not out of the box necessarily, but
yeah. It's probably quite a safe game to do it, because I imagine they're going to have a first-person cockpit view mode, as most Star Fox games do have. Yeah. And like, as long as it's not too taxing on the system, or even if it is a little taxing, it's okay. You realize you're not going to be playing in 4K because first of all, the screen only goes to 1080p.
Yeah.
But here's an optional, Labo / Virtual Boy.
But imagine
accessory.
Like you could get like 2 like levers, and you could like, that'd be cool. Like if you put the 2 Switch 2 Joy-Cons in there, right? So you can feel exactly like,
they could make
that would be cool. Maybe
really fun.
Maybe one side is kind of like a typical cockpit, like controller, but the other is like the slider. So you have a little bit of both.
You could definitely split the Joy-Con, and you have your left hand on the Joy-Con as
exactly
the flight control, and your right hand is doing mouse mode stuff, navigating and hitting the buttons on the side. Boop, boop, boop. Open up the comms link, chink, chink, chink. Fire for a standard blast.
You could do some crazy stuff
while you're looking at VR. Like, oh man, it's so. Do you remember? I think it was it the game called Steel Battalion, made by Capcom for Xbox back in the day? It was this big setup that you would play in a mech. I want to say it was Steel Battalion. I might be misremembering the name of the game, but it was a really cool thing, and it was just,
oh my god,
here's this big old controller, wider than a keyboard, with a whole bunch of gizmos and gadgets, and like, this would be a simplified idea on that, but I think the controller was like $200, and you operate a mech as if, that's it.
Yeah, like you have this whole setup here. If I skip ahead a little bit, jeez, when does the game start? When does the game start? There you go. Dude, that's cool.
So, at the very least, you got an apparatus that connects to your thigh, and you stick the Joy-Con in it so it's stable, and there's your lever to move around, and then your right hand is operating it in mouse mode, still accessible to YXBA to fire buttons, bombs, and stuff like that. Hit ZR, hit R for barrel roll action. And you got the mouse to move around and like hit this onboard cockpit.
Dang, that's crazy.
Dude, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. I'm just happy that it exists. You know, it's been this month, I think, April something. I should know. I do my gaming history videos.
Yeah.
So pretty soon, Star Fox Zero has its 10th anniversary.
Yeah, so it came out 2016. I feel like it was like definitely close to being a summer release. Star Fox Zero release date. April 21st, 2016.
There you go. Yeah. I got it on my horizon of shorts to do, you know?
Man.
So it's been a long time coming. You got 10-year gap. For those new to Star Fox, it couldn't be any better of a time to be introduced to the franchise than seeing it in a $1 billion rating film in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. With, do you know, by the way, that poster of Fox McCloud is the most liked, most viewed poster of any form of movie, TV show, entertainment of a non-main character ever. The previous winner was Sadie Sink's character in the Stranger Things, and Fox McCloud topped it. Topped her. So what I mean is like
this goes beyond Nintendo stuff.
So this is any kind of media, TV show, movie. That Fox McCloud poster officially put up that one morning topped any other non-main character in a movie poster. So that means like, okay, if it's a Captain America movie, but they had an Iron Man poster for that Captain America movie, it topped Iron Man. Not necessarily the main lead character in a film, but any secondary non-main character, in which in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, Mario and Luigi would be main. But this one right here, crazy. However many views it's got, like, I don't know, 30-something million?
35 million views, right? So you look at all the other tweets since this is the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
That's the number one of all time, as long as Twitter's been around and X has been around, of any non-main character in a movie or show.
That's crazy. Like
previous
just
winner,
all the Mario tweets, nothing even has hit 1 million individually since. Like, it's the most popular tweet on this account.
Yeah.
Since it came out. Now there may have been some more popular tweets before. This one was pretty popular. This one actually has Star Fox in it though. This little trailer here has there he is. There's our boy.
He is being very well received because you and I know it. I'm sure a lot of the chat knows it. Star Fox is a cool IP. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy of Nintendo. It's anthropomorphic animals. Look at how many animals exist in video games and entertainment. You've got Banjo-Kazooie, Sonic the Hedgehog, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Croc, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You could say Biker Mice from Mars, Street Sharks. The list kind of goes on. People like animals that talk.
Right.
And this is a cool squad. The games have always had humor, good action. This is the squad that, like, these guys would sell shirts. They'd sell toys. Kids would want an R-Wing to play around and move. You go to Hot Topic, you'd want that shirt or that lunchbox. It's always been, in my opinion, like, man, the most underutilized IP that could be a firm pillar to hold up Nintendo amongst Animal Crossing, Splatoon, Mario, Zelda, Mario Kart, and Smash Bros. And Donkey Kong. Star Fox is right up there. Just, it needs to get back in. So if you're a new gamer, this is the time. I think if you're an old gamer, or it's been around a while, enough time has passed in Star Fox Zero because it wasn't the most well-received by majority of people, also on a system that didn't sell the best. I think enough of a palate cleanse has passed you by to be anticipating this new entry, you know? Now, I was anticipating a new entry since, like, 5 months after Star Fox Zero. I'm like, dude, give me more. Because I actually liked the game more than not. But yeah, this is just the opportune time. We gotta talk about more possibilities, though. I'm just hyped.
Oh, yeah.
I keep going on and on if you don't stop me.
Oh no, but that's the thing. There's so much to dissect here. There's ideas I want to get to you about. But let's take a brief reprieve. Check out the chat, and then we'll come back. Shout outs to my mouse is freaking out on me. Shout outs to Dream_A_Lil_Mo has become a YouTube member. Glad to have you. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Here we got a super chat from at JT Thomas 6132. Thank you for the super chat. Can we all agree that Crystal be brought back to the franchise? She has been absent since Star Fox Zero, and her lore and background haven't been explored. You know, I am interested in I want her to come back. You know, I think this kind of brings us to the whole idea of what they're going to do with the story for Star Fox, because they've sort of retread the same story. I mean, so what there was the original, the 64 Zero, and then Star Fox 64 3D is you know, I mean, that's four main installments that have the same story.
4 of like 6 or 4 of 7.
Well,
Over
so
half of all the games.
You still have Command. You have Command,
Assault,
you have Assault, and
Adventure.
And 2, but 2 never came out officially, which is, you know, until like on NSO. So, but yeah, that is half.
It's like, yeah, it's time to move forward. I don't mean to cut you off, but like,
no, go on.
Whenever there's something new with a long vision, like a long vision moving forward, I do want them to start from the beginning. I do want a remake. I do want them to start off an origin story when there's a clear path of, hey, there's multiple entries in this going forward. But if there isn't this grand plan, I'm like, okay, just sequelize. Like, after we had 3 Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, if I knew Andrew Garfield was going to have 5 Spider-Man movies, I'd say, you know what? Okay, fine. Give this Spider-Man a new origin. But since we only got 2, I'm like, man, you wasted 1 movie on an origin story, you know? And you don't need that. If I know that this is a clear vision, that Nintendo's like, hey, we're going to give you a new Star Fox every 4 to 5 years from now on, I'd be like, all right, give me an origin movie, but give me an origin game. But I'm also so ready on the other side to, I want to go after Command. I want to go what's next. I do want
what's the deal
a
with
continuation.
Command? I know it has 7 different endings.
Yes,
and
like
each ending is very different from the other.
What's the canon ending? I'm not.
Is there a canon ending?
I don't know if there is one.
Like, I almost want to just like throw Count Command out for that reason.
Yeah.
Let me look it up. What is Google's case?
Command has to. I mean, Crystal was introduced in Adventures, and she is in Command, and I think Kat is in Command. You know, who was introduced in Star Fox 64. So you've got a few.
I never played Command, for the record.
It was good. It wasn't my favorite Star Fox game.
Overview, Star Fox Command does not have a single officially recognized canon ending, so there's nothing that's been officially established about Command having an official ending. And personally, I am okay. Like, I would love to revisit Command or actually play Command someday, but it's on DS. Like, that is one of the hardest platforms to go back to right now, because of the form factor. But so I'm okay with just kind of tossing it out, especially because there is no established proper canon ending. There's just 7 possibilities depending on how you play it. But, you know, I was thinking about it, right? Like, so because Star Fox Zero essentially is the same story again, right? That is basically like a remake of the original Star Fox. A worse one, kind of. In a lot of ways, it's worse to me because it doesn't have the multiplayer. And it doesn't have the unlockable on-foot stuff either. I don't know if you knew about that. I learned about that recently, that Star Fox 64 actually has on-foot gameplay. Did you know that?
In versus mode?
In versus mode. Yeah, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Oh, I used we used to play 4-player Star Fox 64 a lot. And yeah, you had a rocket launcher. It was a bazooka or a rocket launcher. And the advantage was you could hide in like Titania or one of the stages underneath a dome while other people were driving around in the Landmaster tank versus the R-Wing versus you on foot. Yeah.
It's so interesting because I just realized this just the other day that Star Fox 64 had an unlockable on foot segment for multiplayer,
Right.
which is wild that they had that in there. Like I didn't even know. And to me, that's kind of like, oh well, maybe on foot gameplay is not on Star Fox, because if the original, well, it's not the original, but if 64 had it, Assault has it. Adventures is that.
And Star Fox 2 has the chicken walker.
Has Chicken Walker, which Zero does bring back. I would, and maybe that's the compromise. You use the walker instead, which makes sense. But we're tangenting. We'll get back. We'll come back to that. But in terms of the story stuff, I think they have an interesting possibility here with Star Fox Zero. Like they could switch to Edition Nat or something at some point. I think it would need a decent amount of work, to be honest. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just like, hey, you got Star Fox 64 on Nintendo Classics, and then you drop Star Fox Adventures, and then you drop Star Fox Assault all on Nintendo Classics, and so you can play. I mean, the thing is, you have Star Fox 1, 2, and 64 all on Nintendo Classics. So if you put out the GameCube ones, you have the entire Star Fox story all there. So I definitely want those GameCube games added. I think that'd be huge. But I would like them to see. I would like to see what happens after Assault. That's what I want to see. I want to see a direct follow-up to what happens after Assault. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but my point is that I do want to finally answer Thomas's question. Yes, we want Crystal. We want Crystal. Crystal's introduced in Adventures, and she sticks around afterwards. I want that. But there is something else that I think needs to be said here, and it's been a long time since I played Assault, so correct me if I'm wrong. But Peppy is not one of the pilots. He's still around. I'm pretty sure Peppy's still around, but he's not flying in Assault.
Right, I don't think he's
retired.
Retired, still a part of the story. You still have the voice actor. But I don't think he's flying an R-Wing with you guys. No, Slippy
Crystal takes his place.
Yes. It's been a while since I've played... I mean, to be fair, I played Assault a couple of years ago, but it's been a while since I... And that was just to like, oh, let me fire it up. I kind of missed this. But it's been a while since I've played through Assault.
Yeah, me too.
Oh.
I don't have my original GameCube anymore where I can play it. So that's kind of the thing.
You know
I'm
what?
Looking it up right now on Fandom.
I don't know if you played Star Fox Zero this way. I mean, I played it the way you're supposed to play it, which is with the Wii U gamepad.
I did.
And watching the screen at the same time, but I also played it in a different way that I think more people would like, and that was two-player mode, where one person plays with a Pro Controller, completely just focused on the screen in third person, and one person's on the gamepad doing their own thing. Now, you could rework that for one person in mouse control mode, just shooting at different enemies. There you go, kind of like Pauline or Luma, right, in Donkey Kong Bonanza or Super Mario Galaxy. And then the other person's playing on the screen. You rework the graphics, boost it up to 4K 60, add some more textures in, maybe some quality of life improvements, tinker a couple of stages, and then that wouldn't need like a dramatic overhaul if you just make player 2 pointer control that takes the place of that. If you only have one person playing, then you got to get a little bit more creative and you kind of have to re-tinker around, but I think it would be worth having Star Fox Zero on Nintendo Switch 2, but I do think it's probably wise to have it come out after, because I think what Nintendo is building here is a premium Star Fox experience that they have a lot of faith in, and you wouldn't want to muddle the waters with Star Fox Zero that isn't really powerful, because 10 years is a long time. This is going to be a new generation of people for the first time.
Yeah.
And you don't want people those 35 million people that thought Star Fox, wow, Fox McCloud looks so cool, to be like, so this is the gameplay? I don't know if it's for me doing all this stuff. You want an easy entry, accessible first time going in. And for a lot of these players this summer, presumably, it's going to be their first time playing a Star Fox game. You need it to be cool, different, and accessible, and not convoluted in design.
I agree. I'm still stuck on the crystal thing, because since this is in a way kind of be like, it's going to be like Star Fox coming back in a big way, and in the movie, they introduce the entire team, right? Well, the core team, the core original team, right? Peppy is part of that core original team. But if you're advanced enough in the story, it's Crystal instead of Peppy. And so from that perspective, it's kind of like, well, if you're bringing back Star Fox, Peppy makes more sense than Crystal. Unless they handle things a little bit differently. And my theory, and this is a theory based off just what I think would be cool, but also answering that problem, is a game where there is the core. It's the core 4. But, so Peppy will actually, I don't know if they retcon things. Maybe what they do is they go before Assault, but not after, post Adventures, but before Assault is a possibility, maybe. And so that way they can maybe still have Peppy involved, but they can bring in Crystal to the fold during the game.
Oh, you know what? What if there's a small RPG-like element to it where it's select your squad going into a stage? I don't know if you played Marvel Cosmic Invasion, that 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up.
I've played beat 'em ups like it.
Okay, beat 'em up. So the reason why I bring up that one in particular is it's very recent in my mind, because I was playing it with my family. You could select anybody of these 12 characters or whatever when you go into a stage, but there are certain unlockables that it's like defeat 10 enemies with Iron Man's plasma cannon only to unlock this little thing, or web 5 guys off of the tower with Spidey, and you can only unlock that. So what if when you go into a mission, it's like, pick your squad. Fox, Falco, Slippy, Crystal, Peppy, Cat, Bill.
Star Fox 2, yeah, and they introduced a whole bunch in Command, and maybe eventually Star Wolf can become part of your party too, and now depending on how the story goes.
Talk about your replayability for hearing different voice lines and how different characters interact with one another through the basic Corneria stage. Because if you picked Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy, Peppy's like, yeah, kind of coming out of retirement. You guys bringing me into this? Oh, come on, Peppy, you're okay. Do a barrel roll. But if you leave that out and you replace Peppy with Cat, you get some banter between Cat and Falco. Cat, you okay? You don't need to worry about me,
Yeah.
I'm a big girl, or like whatever. And like if you put Crystal in there, it's if you put Crystal and Fox and Falco and Cat, then you have the two couples, and then you got relationship battle. Like, how about the two of us team up against the two of you and see who could take down more squads? You're on it, Fox. Like, silly stuff like that.
Branching paths or something. Like, I'm just thinking like of different ways to go to.
Yes.
The thing about Star Fox is that you have the branching paths.
Yes. You get the different lines of dialogue, because how do you make an old school game like that? Because that's some people's fear of like, oh, well, I'm going to beat it in 15 minutes, I'm going to be done. First of all, no, you're not. It's going to take a couple of hours. But then to be fair, yeah, it's going to be a couple of hours to beat this game probably. Different planets, different paths. How do you modernize different paths? Different playable, selectable characters to be on your squad. Different incentive to have different paths within. Like in Mario Kart, you have one course, and in course there might be like 7 different ways to get to the finish line. Different characters, Peppy, if he's a part of your squad, you could follow him and go through this different section of Corneria. If you don't have Slippy, you'll never get this special laser power up because it's only unlockable if he's a part of it. Because while he's playing with you guys or flying alongside, it's like, my uncle developed this, follow me. And it's a special frog laser cannon, so you get the extra banter, you get the extra courses, and that's how you could introduce the 4 squad of Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy, but you could advance the story post-assault. Boom! I like that. I mean, I was coming, I'm glad that you have me on. Thank you again, because talking out loud, I have my own ideas, but this is something kind of new with a fellow Star Fox fan that I off the dome coming up,
That makes sense. Maybe they can still introduce Peppy as part of, because I think he's still with the crew. Just
he's not dead.
No, he's still in the Great Fox. He's more like a coach,
and he could be. And that's another thing I want to talk about is make the Great Fox explorable.
Yes. So how in Fire Emblem they have the hub areas now.
Yeah,
they should make the Great Fox that.
You got to have a central hub.
Are we on the same page that the basically that? Yeah. So what's cool is if there are multiple characters and you unlock some, maybe some of that's handled through the great. You can have dialogue with the different characters. Maybe you could even take distress signals for branching paths or side missions that may unlock another character or something like that. I think there's some cool things they could do there.
Maybe Star Fox Zero had a cool thing where you did play as Peppy for one mission, remember?
It's been a while. I'm trying to remember.
I think I'm remembering.
I'm not doubting
correctly.
you. It's been a while.
There was a stage where you play as Peppy, and every time you do a barrel roll, he announces himself, barrel roll, do a barrel roll, over and over. I'm positive. I'm not. It could be I'm misremembering, but no, I'm pretty sure. But
I don't doubt you.
I know that's all good. And a different solo mission as Falco, as Peppy, as Slippy, as Crystal. These are different ways that you could do it, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy for this development team to just make some more stages, whatever, but it's not as demanding to make a huge open world Breath of the Wild game with physics that you have to interact with every single freaking thing and be able to climb over everything than a more or less from back to forward flight game with big explosions and stuff like that. That does bring me up to thinking, I want to go back to Great Fox ideas with you, but that does make me think about some all range mode zones, right? Whether it's end of stage bosses or no, here is a planetoid, here's a moon, and this moon, the surface, it is smaller, but it is all range mode over the spherical object, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But Great Fox, please, Central Hub. I thought the Star Fox Zero animated 14-minute film from 10 years ago was so much fun that I wanna have a sit down,
a couch where you can play the minigame.
Chewbacca and Han Solo minigame of playing some digital chess or checkers, but Star Foxified. I want to sit over here and let me fire up.
Talk to Rob64.
Talk to Rob64. Play some Star Fox on SNES, or something else that's another kind of mini game.
Maybe a simpler variation of it,
Yeah, it could be its own unique thing, but Fox.
I love the idea of adding mini games. Maybe if you go into Slippy's Corner, and it's a different version of Star Fox Guard or something,
Yeah, a shooting gallery mode. There brings you the satisfaction of walking around, seeing your cool character, and you remember Perfect Dark back on N64?
Yes.
The Carrington Institute was fantastic, ahead of its time in terms of hubs, I think, because you got to explore the heck out of that place. And one of the most fun places was the shooting gallery, trying out all of the game's weapons and all the different difficulty levels. So here you could be Fox, and you'd go to the shooting range and you'd try out your blaster and stuff like that. Why do they even have that? Because it's fun. Do we play as Fox and crew on land in the story mode? Maybe, maybe not. But in versus mode, perhaps so. We'll see. But yeah, have the character able to be shooting laser blaster stuff. You could even add some story elements like, oh, you're trying to beat my score, huh, Fox? Let's put a little wager on this and like do a little betting thing with Falco, and whoever scores more, the other one gets your coin, or like he gives you like, you could use this next time you're out in the field, and it's like a Falco badge that gives you one extra laser blast or one bomb. Like cool stuff like that. There is so much, and like I hope Nintendo thinks about it as much as we do, which
Me too.
come on now, you know they are.
Kuro Kamina's comment right here. Custom R-Wing character outfits. And I'm bringing this up because I'm thinking about all the potential here. Like we're mentioning all this stuff you could do. Because there's going to be multiplayer. And so it makes this interesting. And what I think is actually the perfect gameplay loop here is that the Star Fox games, typically the campaigns are not very long.
Mm-hmm.
They're designed to be replayable and for you to find different routes and find, different shortcuts and different paths and story bits and things of that nature, and go for a higher, faster score. I think that should still be a thing, right? Still give it so like there are different branching paths you can unlock and find it every time you replay it, and especially if there are different characters you can pick from, that gives you more options, right?
Right.
But what's cool about this is that if you're gonna do this, different routes and different scores and different things you do unlock more characters, or maybe custom things for your R-Wings, different colors and decals and stickers, or character outfits if there is a little bit of that on-foot stuff. And let me go a step further here, customizations for your Great Fox itself. Why does that make sense? It's not just about looking cool in the main campaign where you barely see the outside of it, but also for the multiplayer. And I'm gonna talk about an idea here. So we've heard there's gonna be multiplayer, right? Actually have a lot of ideas for the multiplayer, a lot. But if you can customize your own R-Wing, then everyone can, or not just your own R-Wing, but your own Great Fox. I've had this idea where you're gonna do like a 4v4 battle or an 8v8 kind of battle, right? Maybe it's a 16 player battle, but it's a 4-way battle between four-man teams, right? And so like everyone has their own Great Fox at the base, or a customized version of that. And what I've talked about before is you go in, you pick what you want. Oh, let's attack through the air. You die, you respawn at the Great Fox, and then you're like, you know what? Let's try a different. Let's attack through the waters. Let's use a submarine, right? Or let's use a stealth chopper, or let's use the walker, or the landmaster. And so you can choose different vehicles to impact the battle in a different way between spawns. I think that would be a really cool thing,
Oh yeah.
But let me throw another idea at you. We could definitely continue to go deep into the multiplayer stuff, but there's something else, and it goes back to what you mentioned about Star Fox Zero. Star Fox Zero had some cooperative play. I would like them to do that this time, but not in that manner. Not in that. I want it in a cooler manner. As in, I want to be able to play with you, Rob from last week, and another friend, us four, join a team together. We connect online. We put on game chat. Finally, a Nintendo game that makes people want to use game chat, and we play the entire campaign as a crew.
Yep.
That needs to be a thing. And by the way, locally, you should at least be able to do cooperative play with two. Split screen, that should be an option.
100% agree. And, what better way to incentivize you to pick different characters if there are more than just Fox, Falco, Slippy, Peppy, because you're also trying to advance the story forward post-assault with Crystal and bring bring in Bill, even though Bill's never been playable, Cat, and have these folks in there. And like, yeah, this squad of 4 that we're playing through the adventure together, going over Meteos and going over Sector Y and X and just everything. It's thanks to us that we're having this banter back and forth, that our characters are. It's thanks to who did we select that we're going in this path, or that path is not available. And you mentioned game chat. I want to use the Nintendo Switch 2 camera to have in my little cockpit your face, and if I'm playing in VR, I could see Andres off into the bottom corner and stuff like that, and maybe you could be garbled voice or your normal voice, or like your face is overlaid with Leon. I mean, if you trust Leon, you know, maybe he's back somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty dope stuff. And then we're not even talking about Star Wolf, because you got to have enough characters that, like, what if it's 4v4v4v4? What if it's 4 teams of 4 capable? Then you bring out all sorts of things. And like now you have the Wolfen, not just the R-Wing, but the Wolfen. And then when you're talking about Great Fox customization for the R-Wings, you go into like Star Fox Zero. Do you remember that if you scanned the Falco Lombardi amiibo, it turned the R-Wing black and orange instead of blue and gray, and it was more powerful blasts. The lasers were red instead of the hyper laser blue or green. The bombs were more powerful, but you got hit, and if you got hit, you took damage like that. Or if you scanned the Fox McCloud amiibo, it turned it into the Super Nintendo Entertainment System R-Wing.
Yeah.
But you know, I love the idea of this would finally be the reason to have a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro camera or Nintendo Switch 2 camera or some other kind of camera hooked up, because you've got your voice, but more importantly, you've got in the cockpit or off to the side. You could choose to be like, I want it at the bottom of my screen, or you could choose to weave it into the image itself. Or you ever go to the arcade and you play like those Mario Kart versions in the arcade, and they got the person's face of like your friends, your crew, floating above the cart, that little face above the R-Wing or whatever. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can make the whole FaceTime thing, voice chat stuff really unique that no other game is doing like that. I mean, not even if you're playing like Call of Duty or Halo or Splatoon do you have quite that type of multiplayer aspect. Animal Crossing with the new Nintendo Switch 2 update has, more talking to it and ways to interact with bigger groups, but this would be unique.
Yeah, it would be. Dude. It would be unique. The one thing I think about is, I mean, if it's optional, I think it's fine either way, but I feel like a lot of people would just want to see the dialogue between the characters and the character faces. But what would be neat is if the camera recognized your facial expressions and mapped that to the character you picked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would really like that.
Do you want to play and see me, or do you want to see Fox, but have Fox moving his mouth as Paul is talking?
That's what I want. The latter.
It'd be so cool. Another cool idea?
You could choose either way, maybe, right? But
yeah,
to me, that would be really interesting.
I'd like to see certain stages having. Oh man, I'm so freaking hyped of the possibilities. Certain stages, because in Star Fox 64, one of the coolest things was when you were shooting up the train and you were in the R-Wing. You did have your crew fly above when you were in the Landmaster tank. You did have your crew fly above in the R-Wing. So I want to play some of these 4-player cooperative matches where, maybe I chose the Landmaster tank, you chose the R-Wing, someone else did Landmaster, someone else did R-Wing.
Each time.
And there goes the different experiences, different gameplay things, different directions you go thanks to who you pick, different voice things. Like, that's how you make this 3-hour game to go from beginning to end last 20 hours or more if you wanted to get every little speech bubble and path out of it. Complemented with the fact that it's multiplayer cooperative experience and a robust online multiplayer mode that potentially could later on get more planets to explore, to fight around over. Like I I want this to be a complete slam dunk, and there are ways to make it with the classic formula. I think the last time we talked, I was sharing an idea of what if they take Fox out of the cockpit and put him on land, and he's very stealth-like, Ninja Gaiden-esque,
Yeah,
and you kind of get like a story element thing, taking a page out of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, where Fox
sure.
is known as this cool guy from Star Fox, and he goes on a planet, and you go through these, you know, casinos, bars, whatever, Han Solo esque kind of Super Mario Galaxy movie with Wart and like all that kind of vibe, and like
Yeah,
pick up a task, go out, and you could expand on your, your blaster, your melee combat, your shield repelling, and you could call in on Peppy to do a bomb strike, and then you would hop on the R-Wing and blast off. And maybe they don't go that direction, kind of bridging the gap of gameplay wise from Adventures and Assault with some Rift Apart, and throw it in the Star Fox to make it like this is another full Zelda slash Mario action adventure kind of game with Star Fox flying stuff. No, maybe they just do all of the stuff that you and I were talking about and save the on foot stuff to the Great Fox or Versus mode. But even that, there's still so much you could do with these branching paths that you could have, kind of like what the rumor is reporting, classic Star Fox gameplay, which we presume means more older school and not like Adventures. Although Adventures at this point is kind of old school too, but not necessarily classic gameplay, what the series is known for. And it can still be a banger title that hits the audiences really well if they do some of the things we're saying.
yeah. I mean, we have so many ideas. I mean, it seems likely that not all of the ideas are going to come
Right.
together, right? Like I'm thinking, like because we've touched on the idea of like on foot stuff, right? Like I'm thinking, especially if there's a little bit of that inside the Great Fox, if they already designed that, and I'm kind of thinking like over the shoulder kind of gameplay, right, which would be great, so you can still kind of see the character, but you can shoot it up close. Like maybe there could be some on foot segments, but they keep it very minimal. Not a
Yeah.
lot, but a little, and maybe even that little can be utilized in multiplayer in brief moments. Because what if you do have the option to, like, let's say for example your R-Wing blows up,
Crashes.
right?
Yeah.
But you have an opportunity to jump out. If your timing is just right, you can save yourself, right? But then you're on foot, so you're way more vulnerable. You're a lot slower. You're not as much of an offensive threat. But maybe if you can find a way to get into a new vehicle, if you can either make it back to camp, maybe stealth wise you could sneak into the other person's base, or you just see another landmaster or something, you jump onto that. Like there's a lot of cool things they could in theory do.
Yeah.
I'm I'm excited at there's so much that can be done. And it's interesting because like we've considered other possibilities, right? Like I've looked at things from like the Ubisoft angle.
Yeah.
But since
Starlink was
we've heard
good.
that it's classic, I assume that it's not the Ubisoft angle.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is still somehow. I'm actually right now leaning in the direction of maybe Bandai. No, not Bandai. Nintendo Singapore being the developer of this game. And the reason why I think that is because, well, they're somewhat recently acquired, right? But they are the developer that made the Ace Combat games,
Mm-hmm.
the last Ace Combat. So like, and that was pretty good. They had a really good version on Switch 1. So
Yeah.
like that kind of gameplay, that kind of tech would work really well. That experience. I have to look at their. I don't know what was the last game they came out with, so I don't know if it's like the timeline works out. But I also don't think it's a game that would have taken 6 to 7 years, right? This is a game that would have a shorter development cycle. So we'll see. But let's take a look at the chat, because people got questions. And we have answers. They may not be correct answers, but they're certainly answers. So Demon Brawler here asks me and you, Paul, what if they make it a 5 to 6 hour game this time around per playthrough? That is, how all out are they really gonna go this time? Like I don't think the length necessarily dictates how all out they're going, because I think, as we kind of talked about earlier, it depends on what everything else is, right? If this is designed for replayability and unlockables and branching paths, like maybe it is a 6 hour campaign, but you've only really played through 33% of the game, right? Like, because there are a lot of Star Fox maps where there's like 2 or 3 different routes and there's a lot of different levels in between. And as you brought up, there could be a lot of different dialogue stuff and interactions, and so like even the same level can feel very different depending on what happens within it. Um, so, if the main campaign is only 5 to 6 hours for your first playthrough, I don't think that's short. I actually think that's a really healthy amount considering how Star Fox games tend to work. And like, I'm just thinking about like, hey, it's Friday, Saturday night. Let me call up the boys. They're all gonna come over, and we're gonna, get some drinks or get some pizza, and we're gonna go through one entire Star Fox campaign together right here. Like, that's gonna be a good time. Like, you want to finish it, like, and then maybe a month later, like, hey, let's try it again, but let's see if we can do it a little bit differently this time, find a different angle. Like, that's gonna be a really cool thing. So I don't think the hour length of a campaign is gonna necessarily be a good measure for how all out they're going here.
Yeah, I think the quality. I mean, people don't want to spend $70 for a 1 hour experience, but for a 6 hour experience, that there's incentive to play through different times, different friends, different high scores, different paths. It's like Resident Evil Requiem. Some people beat it faster than me, but I think my gameplay time on the screen itself was like 13 and a half hours. The actual amount of time I played on the Nintendo Switch parental controls app that shows you how many hours you played in a game was like 23 hours, or something like that, or 14 and 24. But there are people that beat the game in like 7. Is Resident Evil Requiem any less good for the person who played that masterpiece of a game at 7 hours? So if Star Fox is like a 6 hour game, which is not that's shorter than 7, but has this replayability factor and easily accessible and multiplayer, oh man, I think that time is just fine. If the quality is there and it looks like it's gonna be, we're prime time. Speaking of prime time, you got Nintendo Prime in the house.
Yep, shout out to Nate. What's up, buddy? But yeah, I do intend on getting to more questions here, guys. So they're coming. Literatus, are you worried for what they're gonna do with this game? Not really. Not worried. The only thing I'm worried about is them retreading the story, but I don't think they're gonna, because that would just be dumb. So I don't think they're gonna do that.
I'm not worried
Juan
either.
Torres, what if Illumination made a mini movie of Star Fox?
I think they're gonna make a movie eventually.
I think they're gonna make a movie. They've played around with the animation stuff a few times.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool, but I think what they're teasing a movie here, so that's what I think they should do.
Long before Super Mario Galaxy was a thing in theaters, I think one of the thoughts that we talked about a year and a half ago was, gosh, what would pair well with? I know this. I know this for a fact. I've said this before.
Yeah.
What would work well to bring Star Fox back is you launch alongside it an 8-part animated Netflix TV series or something like that, and you have the show coming out, and it's a hot show looking like Castlevania, all nice and elegant, and you release that game, and that's a way to do it. I've been saying that for years. Now, did that happen? No. But I got something else pretty damn good, which is freaking Star Fox in a big movie. Almost better in a way, because I wouldn't be surprised if more people will see Fox McCloud in the Super Mario Galaxy movie than they would in this hypothetical Star Fox animated series that I came up with. Maybe not. But everyone's going to see Mario. Maybe not everybody would turn into Star Fox, but maybe they would. Maybe now they will. Because how much power does the name command in the first place for you to see it? Then again, sometimes things get big, like Stranger Things. What's that? But after a while, everyone knows,
Right. But I mean, that's the crazy thing about Nintendo's strategy right now is that what they're doing has the potential to turn all of their IP into superpowers.
Oh, yeah.
like if like this movie stuff might help both Star Fox and Donkey Kong explode, and then Toby's like, you know what? Let's do this for Metroid. Let's do this for Fire Emblem. Let's do this for
Yeah.
Pikmin. Do it for Kid Icarus. All of a sudden, all these Nintendo IP have a much larger audience because of what they basically emulate what Marvel did. It turns these things that at first you thought, oh, might be kind of niche. Like, for example, like no one thought that making a game about Iron Man would be a good idea, 20, 30 years ago. But now you're like, hey, you know what? That's probably going to be pretty successful, because those characters are way more popular now because of the movies. So there's a lot of potential there. And so they're going to get to a point where they can get to a point. Like if there's a Marvel movie coming out, it's probably going to do well. It's just that simple. So if the token gets to that point, they could turn all their IP into superpowers, mega successful series.
Yeah. You just find a way how to slowly introduce these franchises into the slightly bigger ones. Like in this Star Fox movie, what else is kind of space related? F-Zero. So use the Star Fox movie to introduce Captain Falcon, and kind of like how Fox was a nice role in the Mario movie, you have Captain Falcon with a little bit of showtime in this Star Fox movie, and that kind of Trojan horses F-Zero into the masses. And when you have this Donkey Kong film, even though Splatoon is already pretty popular, when Donkey Kong barrel blasts into some island far away, he lands and sees these squidlings popping over here, or he lands onto this island with Tom Nook and it's like, where am I? And you don't have to make it a big integral part, but you just introduce a little bit of Animal Crossing. You have some synergy with this character, with that character. If you go back into space and you're having another film like a Kirby movie, you go ahead and you've got Samus Aran as a character that shows up. You've got Pikmin and the Olimar. Olimar and Pikmin show up. You just cross-pollinate. You find a way. You've got Kid Icarus. You have... Well, I don't want to spoil anything from the Mario Galaxy movie. I was about to say something else, but... you just... you do stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So much potential. So people want us to get to this question. Bradley earlier had asked... hold on. It's giving me trouble. Okay. Hey, Andres and Paul. When do you think the next Nintendo Direct is? I want it so bad, but I don't think it happens until June. Well, Paul, how about you say what you think?
I still think one is possible before April 30th, including a mini, maybe. But if we don't by 30th, I'm definitely on June train. I'm also not disappointed that there's not one this April, because if you give me Star Fox, that is the kind of announcement I would want from a Direct. That is an end of the Nintendo Direct kind of announcement for me, and if they just drop it, that satisfies my Direct that I would have wanted in February, March, or April. And for that matter, if you add it all up, if they just spread February, March, and April over a Mario movie Direct, the release of Mario Tennis Fever, the release of Pokopia, this Pokemon Lego collab, this Zelda Lego collab, this Partner Direct showcase, this Nintendo Indie World showcase, and this Star Fox reveal, that's a Direct! That is a Direct, just spread apart, because you got your massive Nintendo game in Star Fox, you got your third-party stuff, and you got your first-party stuff, kind of like with Pokopia, and there you go. And you got your Tamagotchi Life trailer that they showed, and there you go. It's done. So I'm still holding on to maybe by April 30th, but especially with this Star Fox thing, looking like it's more and more likely that it's going to be showing up any week now, I think I'm on June bandwagon a little bit more than half now.
Yeah. My thought process is similar at this point. I think you bring up a good point that, like, you kind of consider everything that's happened throughout this year in terms of announcements, they've maybe kind of had a direct worth of announcements if you include the Star Fox stuff. I think what's unfortunate is I think handling things in this way, it's less exciting until we get the Star Fox thing, right? But also because we're going to get the Star Fox thing supposedly, I don't care if we wait till June if we get the Star Fox thing this month. Like, to me, that's fine. That to me, what's been missing for this year is Star Fox for the first half. That's what's been missing, a game like that, because for the most part, the offerings Nintendo has been putting out there have not been doing it for me. You know, Pokopia I did bought. I was positive at first. I'm not saying I hate it, but it's not like it's not going to be in my top 10 best games on Switch 2. It's not that kind of game for me. I may eventually finish it, but like it's just fine to me. I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's not a big deal. I know it's a big deal for the rest of the world, but it's not a big deal to me because I'm just not a cozy fan. That's not my kind of genre. Yoshi and Mysterious Book, honestly, I was more interested in it at first. That the latest trailer kind of has me thinking this might be a skip. That's just me. You know, I don't care for Mario Tennis. I don't care for Tomodachi Life. These are all games that I know are going to be hits, just not hits for me because I'm a little bit more of a core-centric gamer. So like for me, what was exciting was Resident Evil Requiem on Switch 2. Like that was a big deal. But if we get Star Fox in June, that changes. It fixes the first half for me, basically.
That's a Game of the Year contender for me just because of how much I love the franchise and because I've wanted a new entry for so long. That's how much that one means to me. And here's a release date for you. June 4th. It's one day before the Nintendo Switch 2 anniversary. How wonderful would it be to cap off 365 days of Nintendo Switch 2's first year, and you're like, yep, we started with Mario Kart World, and we ended with Star Fox Returns, and that's our first year, and everything in between. No other Nintendo console, I think, had that good of a first year between first party, third party, and indie support. Some people will or will not like every one of the games, but like to have Street Fighter 6 and Resident Evil Requiem and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 and Donkey Kong Bonanza and Star Fox 2 and Hades 2 and Mario Kart World and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Like, I don't want to repeat it all, but like that's a strong first year if they finish it. Now, if Star Fox goes to like June 25th, which is closer to the start.
Thursday.
What's that?
You look this up. June 4th is a Thursday.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did on purpose. If it slips past June 4th and goes to like June 25th, it makes it very close to Star Fox 64's anniversary, 29 years apart, you know? But it still feels like a good summer game, and I love it. So I'm on Team June 4th, man. I think Nintendo takes no more than 4 weeks from the release of the movie. So I'm banking on we find out about this thing by April 29th, possibly sooner. And then if you look at April 29th, you got 5 weeks of a launch. That's a very small amount of time, but not really when you consider the hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing they're putting into the game. What do you mean hundreds of millions of dollars? No, there's not. Yes, there is. It's called attaching the trailer to the end of the Super Mario Galaxy movie because you can if you wanted to. And you attach it to this 32 million viewed post on X, and then it just does it itself. You know what I mean? You don't need a large 6-month build-up to this game. I think you can make it a tight, like, 5 to 7 week kind of announcement. I think you could do it.
Sure.
And maybe, this might be a little ambitious, but hey, we're having fun here. In addition to this Star Fox reveal, here are the amiibo that are complementing the game that are coming out this summer also.
Getting out Amiibo. You know, the thing with Amiibo, they always have waves coming out way after the game's release. Oh, dude, so cool, so cool.
I want this, but I want a plastic version that I could play with.
Yeah. So I just want to say that I've seen, from what I've looked at, man, I haven't looked at everything, but to me, what I like, you look at the Yoshi Mysterious book. We got the release date March 10th, comes out May 21st.
Yep.
So it's more like a 9-10 week window. Mario Kart World got its release date April 2nd last year, comes out June 5th. Like those are kind of like the shorter release date announcement to release windows. And so I look at it like that. And I would say, with that in mind, I'm kind of looking at Star Fox getting announced within the next couple weeks and it coming out late June. But see, what's interesting about that is that gives us opportunity to see the game again in a Nintendo Direct in June before it comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, Yoshi's coming out May 21st, you know, so like that's already coming out late May. I mean, maybe they want to have it come out, Star Fox come out like in like early June, but I feel like they'd be okay. They could. They absolutely could, but also they absolutely don't need to. So, you know, that's kind of where my thinking's at. We'll see what happens. And, you know, yeah, I think there's going to be a bigger direct at this point in June, especially because I'm looking at Zelda 40th anniversary stuff. And if you actually look at the history of the big Zelda anniversary years, you'll see, if you look at the 35th, you look at the 30th, you look at the 25th, June is where we saw the big game announcement stuff regarding Zelda. So I think in the 30th, they didn't start announcing anniversary stuff until like September. They showed off Breath of the Wild. 30th was 10 years ago. So yeah, that was the Breath of the Wild showcase at E3. So having hope. Thank you for modding, but I did see that one.
Yeah.
Rex,
my finger wanted to go.
Rex said, "Andre, I want you arrested." I hope it happens. It's my dream to get arrested. I want to have a wild and crazy night and just wake up and be like, "Oh, what happened? Why am I in this jail cell? What did I do?" That's gonna be fun, but unfortunately, I don't break the rules, so it won't happen. So sorry, buddy. You're not gonna get your wish. So yeah. Yeah. Also, I'm sorry about the reverberation. There's like audio issues in the podcast. It's weird. Like, for example, like there's supposed to be background music. It's just not playing. At least on my end. It's just, I think Streamlabs or StreamYard. I mean, it's just having a weird. It's just glitching out today. Yeah. There is a comment I want to get to, but I don't see it unless I already got to it. Oh yeah, there's something else. So I think Pokemon Fan was asking to address the Attack the Backlog stuff about April. I'm talking about the big direct in June. You know, like the big one, like probably an hour-long Nintendo Direct. That kind of direct that'll reveal the Ocarina of Time remake and give us dates for Splatoon Raiders and Fire Emblem, maybe reveal Luigi's Mansion 4, stuff like that. Like that kind of direct, I don't think we're getting until June at this point. If we are getting the Star Fox news shadow dropped, you know, like within the next couple weeks. But that doesn't mean there can't be like a partner showcase. I think that's still on the table, and Attack the Backlog has said he has not heard specifically about a general direct happening in April, but he has heard about something happening in April. And given Attack the Backlog's history of hearing about events, it's probably third-party related, and if it's not a general, then it's probably a partner showcase. Maybe it's something else, like maybe it is a mini, you know. And what's interesting, if Nintendo does do a Nintendo Direct Mini, that could still have at least one big first party announcement, which could be a Star Fox thing, actually. So that would be neat if they did a direct mini in April for and then a bigger like general in June. I don't. I'm not feeling like the mini's been on the table lately. I feel like maybe the partner showcases kind of replaced that. And Nintendo just kind of does their social media drops to kind of support the partners, and then when the big general's ready, that's when we get it. But yeah, I think there's probably gonna be something in April, just not the big general at this point.
I think with Fox being so up on everybody's radar right now, he doesn't need to be announced in a direct to get all eyes on it, because a lot of people tune into a Nintendo Direct. It's a popular format that they've developed. It's something that people like, But I don't think that right now he needs to be shown off in a direct to get people to watch the trailer. I think just a Nintendo Today followed by X and YouTube videos is enough, thanks to the Super Mario Galaxy movie helping that, And then you're gold. Then you've got like several weeks until June 4th or June 25th or something like that. And like you said, if they have a Nintendo Direct proper early June and Star Fox didn't come out yet, then there you go ahead and you could have in its last trailer with the game coming out in a couple of weeks. And then, of course, your Zelda and more on Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, what Monolith Soft has been doing, unless if that is Ocarina of Time, but, that's a whole other discussion. And then you give updates for Turok and updates for 007, First Light, and another surprise or two, a Monster Hunter, something getting ported over. There's a lot. There's a lot.
There is a ton. I'll just ask you about the Ocarina of Time remake thing.
Yeah.
So, actually, I think this would be a fun poll. Or maybe we should do a Star Fox poll. I'm going to do a Star Fox poll, but I'm going to ask you an Ocarina of Time remake question. But let's do the poll first. All right, so the poll for Star Fox is... where in the Star Fox timeline do you want this new one to take place? Tell the original story again for the 5th time. Tell the original story again. After Assault with Crystal replacing with Crystal. I have limited characters, so that's why I'm like, I wanted to put instead of replacing Peppy. Before Crystal, so I guess before Adventures. Before Crystal joins the crew, which leaves it up. Before Crystal joins, but what would be a good 4th option just from the story perspective? Like the original story after Assault, before Crystal joins.
James McLeod, OG era.
Before the
original
story.
How did Star Fox come to be with the whole betrayal and such?
That'd be great. So, what's interesting though, if they do kind of like a Pikmin 4 thing where they kind of introduce like, hey, this is what happened to Olimar. Like they give you like a side story where you can play the past. That would be cool as like a side extra thing. Anyway, I put the poll. I hope I didn't put too many like spelling errors. But
tell the original.
If story. Tell the original story again wins, I'm gonna flip the table.
After Assault with
metaphorically.
Before Crystal joins. Before the OG story with his dad. Oof.
I think I'll be.
You know?
I feel like the one that should win is after Assault with Crystal. But I think the most likely one is, I don't know. We'll see. You guys are scaring me with all the votes. But anyway, so I'll let that stew for a little bit.
You know,
Nate, get out of here. He wants us to reboot the IP again for the fifth time.
They do it in movies. They do it in TV shows. Like Lost was very popular with going back and forth between storytellings, right? I mean, between storylines. There's a show right now called, oh geez, what is it called? It's a really good show. Oh man, I brain fart. What's it called? My friend is an actress in it, introduced in season 2. How am I not thinking of it?
Yeah. Nate, I understand what you mean by a reboot.
James Marsden is in it. The Earth is
very differently. They could do things very differently.
The Earth has its own chaos. There's this giant bunker built underground. James Marsden is in it from X-Men, Cyclops. Oh man, I can't think of it. Anyways, that show is another good example of occupying the same place, but before and after. So,
wait, I'm sorry, I was distracted with like reading the chat. So you're talking about what reboot, what show or movie you want to do?
The show I can't think of at the top of my head, which I feel bad.
So you're talking about a Marvel? Was it a TV show or a movie?
A TV show, James Marsden. Oh, Paradise. Okay. Good show. Paradise. It's another one of those back and forth. Here's the timeline now, but here's something that happened 5 years ago, 9 years ago, 3 months ago, now. Here, there, and it just does a good job back and forth. Here's a way how you could not waste an entry on a reboot, even though I see a benefit of reboot, especially if you're doing it right, like I made with my Spider-Man analogy. If you know that this is a clear path going forward, fine, do a reboot if you're set. Otherwise, you gotta continue, man, because there's enough fans that have been waiting long enough for it, right? This would be a 5th entry in the telling the old story again. So how you kind of satisfy both is, yeah, the game does take place after Assault, but upon completing certain missions in a certain way, you could unlock, here is that same Corneria, but played back in the day as James McLeod, and it's a little bit of a different path or terrain, and you do have to do something different to make the aesthetic feel like it is a little bit more old school, but you could play with that crew, or maybe certain levels are only played as memories, and you're playing through a memory. Like, you remember in Resident Evil Requiem, did you play Biohazard 7? Resident Evil 7?
I played, Village is 8, right?
Yep.
7's the one, I didn't play 7.
Okay, small spoiler if you don't mind. It's how it's portrayed. I'm not going to spoil anything. You're playing as the game as this character. However, you unlock VHS tapes, and when you push play on the VHS tape was filmed several months ago or a few years ago, but you're playing from that character's perspective through this area that you are in now as the current character Ethan, but you're playing from what that character went through, and you're watching it, but you, the gamer, are playing it. Ethan is watching. What the heck did this family do to this character who had this body cam on as they went through it? And that's kind of how you do reboot / origin stuff. You unlock bonus missions of Star Fox Old, and maybe you even like your Fox McCloud are like, we've uncovered some tape from your father, Fox. Play this. And you put it on, and now you're playing as James McLeod alongside Peppy and Pigma Dengar, and you're going through old school missions, and that's how you do it. I can't believe that he did that. And there you go. You kind of use assets of this game that you created, the polygons and the stuff like that, but you change up Corneria a little bit, or this stage wouldn't exist at all like this, so you had to make a unique stage. And then that's how you could kind of tell a little bit of, OG Star Fox story. You could kind of have a little bit of a session of, I remember how you brought us all together, Fox. Do you remember that? Okay. Slippy here, I'm okay. Fox, you want to join my crew? Only if you could beat me in a race, and like you're dog fighting with Falco Lombardi, and if you beat him, that's how he joined your crew. And then you can have these little back and forth kind of things, and like voila, that's how you could satisfy advancing the story going forward, but having missions that you unlock, even if they're VR missions, that tap into the past, that it's like not quite retconning, but semi retconning, but it's telling a story of the past. So this beautifully, in my opinion, man, I feel good. I feel good talking. I don't know if anybody likes these ideas, but I like these ideas. This is a way how you reboot the series, but also moving it forward. And this would be enough meat and potatoes for new fans to be like, dang, this is a full experience. But it would be enough for like OG fans that are like, oh man, finally we get to see what happens after Assault. I've only waited.
I love the idea. So like if it takes place after Assault, right? So the main story happens after Assault, but yeah, you just have like these episodes that revisit the past, right? So we'll be all right. Hear me out, right? Like so, yeah. It's like maybe like when you talk to Pepe's like, all right, so you're remembering these different pasts. You relive them by talking to Pepe. Like I love that idea. I think it's good. I think it's a great way to kind of like give people those opportunities to revisit the past for like different segments. And what's actually super cool is they could even maybe reuse areas too. Yeah. So like they can just, like you change them around a little bit. Like if you go back to current area, maybe you make the buildings look a little bit different or new or destroyed, or just, like you can make minor adjustments to environments to kind of reflect a different time period. And that's a great way to revisit different stuff like that. That's a cool idea. I'm with it. They should do it. I'm gonna be disappointed if they don't do it now.
Yeah. There's something else I want to. I don't know what direction you want to go now in, but there's another idea that I had with what could you do in the Great Fox as a hub, and one of them is you get to go to Slippy's tinkering shop, and you see him. Fox, this is not ready yet. And he's, what are you doing, Slip? Nothing. And he puts a tarp over it, and you see just a little glimpse of a vehicle, and you hear psst, 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 some spray paint and stuff, and tinkering, and like, just bring me back more credits, okay, Fox? This stuff is expensive. And you get things, and like, it helps Slippy build up whatever he's doing. And okay, Fox.
What if they do bikes? Like that? What if they have to do like they have a mission where they have to
Violas?
Yeah. Like they get 4 Violas basically, and they have to like they need to use them to speed in like through the desert, right? Like just in. I mean, they had the bikes in the desert in the Mario movie too, but it'd be cool to have the bikes for a segment. That'd be fun. Or like in Adventures, they had like this like hover. There was like this thing that Fox would ride for like a segment or two where like it had like jets, but it was like almost like a sled with jets, a jet sled. I don't remember what it was called, but what if it was
hoverboard?
What if it was actually called the jet sled? It would be hilarious. I don't know. Imagine if it was on the water, like and then at that point we're just talking about a jet ski. Yo, that'd be fun. A jet ski. Oh, dude,
that's cool. I had that idea for. I was tinkering lately with like Mario third movie things, and one of them is like going to Isle Delfino, Super Mario Sunshine, Mario and Luigi on jet skis as part of their vacationing, and like, dude, that's a wave race reference. Like, oh man, that'd be so cool. Anyways,
oh yeah, it'd be so awesome.
You mentioned jet ski, but that's did you play Guardians of the Galaxy several years ago?
No, I didn't play the game.
You played it?
I did not.
It's cool. You could do a jukebox and listen to real like pop culture songs that Star-Lord liked from the 80s.
I've played Ratchet and Clank, so I kind of understand. I've played Ratchet and Clank, so I understand your reference from earlier about that.
Yeah,
like if it went that direction. But I mean, I've watched the movies. I just haven't played the game. Like,
so
this is a modern entry.
Yeah, it's on Nintendo Switch, only a cloud option available, but it's
Okay.
on PS5 and Xbox Series and stuff like that. I think it came out in like 2022 or something, but fairly new. Really good stuff.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
hmm But they have a nice ship, and you get to walk around in it. You can look at the different people's quarters and see what stuff they hold dear to them. Posters on the wall. Talk to Groot. Talk to this character as the story progresses. Listen to music, and
I am so proud
This,
of
right?
you.
yeah, that's it.
Do you know what a birthright is, Peter?
Huh. So you could explore the inside of the ship.
Yeah, all of the ship you could explore, and it's a different, slower pace because it's not
Not based
fighting a
on
whole bunch of
continuity
enemies. The game is like an action game in
Galaxy?
terms of how it plays.
Rocket. So I let Groot fill out the paperwork.
Like, imagine they made the game like this. That'd be crazy.
6,963 units short.
See, and I'd like to talk with the different folks that are hanging out in here, and there could even be story elements like, where did Crystal go? She went off on a mission,
We got this.
and maybe then you go play as Crystal on that mission, and you gotta play as her.
This looks fun.
Roll. No.
Yeah, it's a fun game, well written,
You want monster? I'll show you monster.
good soundtrack.
We just roll.
Keep your pants on.
Although it could be used as a distraction.
That's hilarious.
Smash him up, Drax! Meet your maker. We're all professionals here, right? Maybe we can work something out. Peter.
Huh.
You had one job, Quill. I did exactly what? More no killing teammates. That's who. It's literally in your contract. I made no such commitments.
In less than 3 cycles, all would be lost. The galaxy cannot be saved either way.
We can do this together.
This would be like if Star Fox was like only on clip.
Fucking great, Quill.
Yeah. So this actually reminds me of another part to the leak that I want to talk about with you. So I'm glad I was gonna forget about it in the stream actually, but so Video Games Chronicle put out a podcast where he talked about how they had also heard about it, right? And one of their panel members said that they actually heard not only about the game but that it was going to be they were told it was going to be very funny.
Yeah.
And this led them to speculate that this likely means the game is going to be really well written,
Mhm.
which I think is actually really fitting. Because like the dialogue between the characters is kind of what really carries the game. It's actually, the more you think about it, like I don't think the original had dialogue, but you couldn't hear it, right? Like on Super Nintendo.
Yes.
But the N64 had actual voice acting, which was a really cool thing. For this came out in 1997. Nintendo 64, like they had Rumble. Like Star Fox 64 was like really cutting edge, which that's kind of like. I feel like that should be Star Fox. That's Star Fox's shtick, right? Because the original was cutting edge. Star Fox 64 was cutting edge. The GameCube, both games are they were really impressive games for the GameCube.
I would say a lot of people were very impressed with Fox's fur.
Oh yeah, the
on
environments were
Dinosaur-
beautiful. The water
Dinosaur
effects
Planet.
were beautiful. Yeah, but Star Fox Zero was like the opposite. Star Fox Zero was like an indie game basically. A really good indie game. Some people might be mad at me for saying it was a pretty game in parts, but like the ground textures were super. Like it almost felt like they like remastered a game where they took like a really simple game from like a hardware from a generation or two ago and just put in some next gen assets, but not all of it. So it was weird. I blame the Wii U because they probably didn't want to invest that much budget into a dead console. But yeah, like, what do you make of them going in this funny direction? Do you believe it? I'm assuming you do believe it. And you look at how Fox is handled in the movie. He feels a little bit more spirited, a little bit more jovial than the way he's depicted in the games. Actually,
yeah, it fits well. I mean, the lines that they've always had back and forth have been fun. You know, hey Einstein, I'm on your side. Slippy
Right.
here, I'm okay. Fox, that was one of ours. Try shooting the enemies on the other side, you know, and like, hey, you okay over there? I'm okay. And you know, they've got this banter, they've got this, you know, chemistry. Watch the anime. If for anybody that is checking out this podcast, look at that 14-minute anime clip. It's a piece of General Pepper's fur. That's kind of weird. Hey, it's not weird. You know, it's been known to have funny elements. So I think, yeah, that's good. And kind of like what we're talking about, multiple characters, multiple branches, depending on who you pick as your squad of 4 going forward. You've got dialogue going back and forth that really plays up the comedy. Not to make it just a slapstick kind of thing, but no, a well-written, you know, video game that makes you laugh at moments, makes you go, wow, that's cool too, but laughter also.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential to tell a compelling story. Like Star Fox, like if you look at its entire history, like different events occur, right? Like you have Fox and Cloud's, you know, sad backstory with his dad.
Yeah.
Peppy was also like one of his dad's best friends, right? So there's that mentorship element there. But then you also have Falco and how, like, I think at one point he left the crew and comes back, right? Because he wasn't around in Adventures. Like there was something going on with that, right? Like so they lose Falco for a little while. Like what happened there? Like so there's story to revisit with that. Then there's a Crystal dynamic. Slippy, I don't know if Slippy has ever had any like crazy story stuff maybe in Command. I don't know, but I mean they could easily write that in there unless they just want him to be like the comic relief character. But my point is that there have been different story dynamics throughout the history of Star Fox, and you look at those elements, you look at the dialogue. Like there's certainly a lot of potential to put together a really compelling story. And to Nate's point from earlier, if they rebooted things, which would kind of piss me off, but if they like did it in a way where it was a more encompassing story that allowed us to gain new ground, I'd be about it. You know, like I like your idea the most, though. Like just place it after Assault. Place it after Assault. Maybe it starts off with a prologue or something, so you see Peppy. But you know, either, yeah. I want to move forward personally. I just want to move forward. I think that's what I want the most. It's been too long. I mean, I'll be happy regardless. To be clear,
it's the game that throughout the majority of the Nintendo Switch generation, I thought this is a time to bring it back because you've got the greatest likelihood of it succeeding thanks to this system's going to become Nintendo's best-selling system of all time. I knew that a long time ago.
Really?
I
you believe the Switch 2 is going to pass the Switch 1?
Well, I mean, so this is my thought several years ago. Like, come on, Star Fox, come back on Switch. Come to Switch, come to Switch, come to Switch. And now, like, Switch 2. Do I think Nintendo Switch 2 will pass Nintendo Switch? It has some things working against it. Not the system, just market volatility, more things going on in the world, prices going up, RAM, the competition with AI, and how that's mining more to make RAM more expensive, a more expensive starting price, game development taking longer. But then you've got things that are working for it, like word of mouth, a bigger Nintendo, a Nintendo that's now in theaters more. Nintendo Switch predated Mario movies, predated Mario theme parks. So now you've got a Nintendo more willing to work and this and that. So there are some things working in favor of it. I'm not yet ready to say, yeah, it's going to be another 160 million selling system. But I think, you know, upwards of 130, which is kind of like the drop off from NES to SNES would be Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Switch 2 if this new system, our current system, does like 130. So I'm like, it'll be like 130 million selling system that still manages to do like 1.2 billion units of
I
hardware,
think if they
software.
hit
Of
that
software.
mark, that's very promising because I think that's suggestive that that's just where they're at. And it's not like because like the thing is, Switch One was a new thing, right? Like Switch Two doesn't scream new thing; it just screams improvement of the thing. And so like if Switch Two can reach those numbers, you know, if it reaches close, like what within 80 to 90% of Switch One, then I think that suggests that they can come around with Switch 3 maybe in a more hospitable economic environment and maybe even get back to Switch 1 numbers or surpass it as Nintendo's brand continues to grow with their movies and park expansions and such.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, just saying, me being the optimist, I'm like, hey, maybe Switch 2 just beats Switch 1. You know, we'll see.
And it
I mean,
very well.
it's kind of like sports in a sense, right? Because you're like, hey, I know my team's probably is not the favorite to win, but they're still in it. They're still in it.
For the reasons that you could point to it not being as successful, you could also make the counter and say, well, PlayStation 6 might be too expensive, and the next Xbox might not be as attractive enough if it's known that those games are not going to be exclusive on it, given the track record of the former generation. So where you might say, Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have to compete against more portable PCs than Nintendo Switch did during its time, you could say, yeah, but everything is going to be so much more expensive than it was before that, once again, Nintendo is going to have the most affordable platform on the market, perhaps by even a greater difference than Nintendo Switch at $300 and, you know, PS4 at $400 and PS5 at $500. You might be looking at a $450, $500 Nintendo Switch 2 and $900 PS6 and Xbox Nexts, which is double, not just an increase of like 30% over. And like, so there's a decent amount of reasons that Nintendo Switch 2 could last longer, and the fact that it's more powerful, more competent, capable of getting third parties. You've got the unknowns that Nintendo Switch didn't really have, like the Grand Theft Autos, the new Injustice game going to be made day and date, the next big AAA thing that you cannot pass on, the next Monster Hunter being made from the ground up for all three. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least I think it would be unwise. The next Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 or whatever, right? Final Fantasy 17. More likely than not, Nintendo's going to have more of these than, you know, Nintendo Switch had comparatively. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to adjusting my numbers eventually into that. Nintendo Switch 2 might pass the original. It might be 170 million, you know?
Crazy.
Who
I'll
knows?
say this.
I'm like 130 is kind of like my safe number.
I got a prediction for you. You ready?
Yeah.
I predict that in 2027, there will be reports from many outlets that the Switch 2 is not doing well. Because they're going to say that it's not spiking the same way. Actually, you know what? No. In 2028, they're going to say, oh, Switch 2 is not doing well because they're going to look at 2020. They're going to look at how Switch 1 did extremely well in 2020 and be like, see, Switch 2 is falling behind. But that was a pandemic year where there was a huge spike. Switch 2 is not going to get that spike. But what Switch 2 is going to have an advantage of is just consistency, right? Because I think you and I both agree. I'm pretty sure we agree on this. Correct me, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I've been under the impression that if there wasn't the pandemic year, the peak year would have just been a year later.
Yes.
You basically just swap the sales numbers for each year.
You would have gone. I've done it. I've done it before where it might be on an X post of mine. I think I put it on X where I was like, this is where I think it would have sold. Just looking at the past trajectory of systems on Nintendo and Sony and Sega and everything, I'm like, It would have gone 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And in the end, I still came up with boy, it's very close to like 150, 340, 154 million, plus or minus 1.67 or something like that. I mean, like within a margin of error difference that, yeah, it's not that so many more people bought it that wouldn't have. It's that no, 21 would have actually been the peak. 2020 would have been less. 21 would have been still less than the real 20 that we got, but a little bit more than less. And then the 22 drop would have been from there, which is a little bit different. And so, yeah, exactly what you said, you know, like, and you would have maybe been a little bit behind your 156 that you're at right now, but like by 1.5 or something, you know? And yeah, what people think, oh, Nintendo had the pandemic. Come, you're too tunnel visioned or too pessimistic if you think it's only at 156 right now because of COVID. It would have been here regardless within a small margin, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to my point, I predict in 2028,
Talk too much.
analysts are going to be like, "Oh, Switch
yeah.
2 is way behind. It's not seeing the same levels of spikeage as Switch 1," which I'd be like, "Bro." And what might be funny is that, like, because right now, like Switch, like the thing is, we're seeing similar headlines now. Like the Switch 2 is still the fastest selling video game console of all time, but it feels like, even though that's a fact.
Yep.
And has been a fact since June 5th when it came out, that it's been pacing this entire time as the fastest selling console of all time. Most reports about Switch 2 sales from most outlets have gone in the negative direction. And that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like you can look at a week to week or a month to, like, when it comes to numbers, you can pick random little things. But the broad picture is the Switch 2 is still currently the fastest selling video game console of all time, but most headlines would have you believing otherwise.
Yeah. And
that blows my mind.
And people that the people that find it laughable that PlayStation 5, this system that's 5 years and 3 months old, beat this new system that's only 8 months old. Dude, I've been doing this a while. Nintendo Switch, when it was 5 years old, which is March of 2022, beat the brand new PlayStation 5 that's only been out on the market for a year and a half at that point. It did. It did in that same April NPD.
I remember that talking point, yeah.
Circana. And it did a lot more. You look at Nintendo Switch, and yeah, it dominated the tail half of the PS4, Xbox One generation, and actually dominated the early half of the PS5, Xbox Series generation. It has this window in between of like 33 months of consecutive uninterrupted number one spots. And then even when PS5 and Xbox Series came out, it traded blows back and forth until finally PS5 took on. And you're seeing that happen now. You get 5 months of Nintendo domination with NS2, and then it loses one, it gains one, it loses two, and people act like losing is bad. We're in a healthy enough state that second place could still be a lot. You know, this is not PS2 number one, Xbox and GameCube in number 2 and 3. This is someone's at 1, and then on the monthly, you're looking at this. It's still healthy. And eventually, you will see Nintendo Switch 2 will not just be trading blows one-on-one. Eventually, it will be oh no, here is its 7-month streak until, a Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, and it helps PS5, and then you have another 8-month thing, and then PS5 has a price drop and a boom. Like, I don't know if another system will ever have a 33-month consecutive streak like Nintendo Switch had. That was so rare, but it could. Just like, I don't know if in Japan, I know I'm deviating now, but on the Famitsu charts, I don't know if we'll ever have another console to have a top 30, because that was the first time since like 1989 when Famicom, the original NES in Japan, had a top 30 for a week, and Nintendo Switch was the first system to do it since, because then you've got, all it takes is one Super Nintendo game, one PlayStation game, one N64 game, no matter how dominant DS or PS2 is, one GameCube game, one Xbox 360 game to show up, and nope, no streak, no top 30. So you're looking at 30-year history in between it when Nintendo Switch did it. Will Nintendo Switch 2 pull that off in Japan? Maybe not, because one Nintendo Switch game is all it takes to nullify that one PS6 game. You know what I mean? Anyways, side tangent, but no, I agree. You will see people say, oh, look at Nintendo Switch 2 behind in this and this, despite being like a 40 million seller plus, already a successful system.
So at what point do you think Switch 2 will no longer be the fastest selling console in history? Because I think we're both assuming, odds are, like I think you both and I hope that maybe the Switch 2 keeps on this trajectory, because that would be awesome, right? If it somehow beats Switch 1. But we assume it's eventually going to fall behind pace of Switch 1, right? When do you think that's going to happen? Is it in 2028? Does a Switch 2 stave off for that long in terms of momentum?
Yeah, it could stay ahead for 3 years possibly, and then start to fall behind, but technically still be ahead because it was ahead earlier, So then by year 4, okay, now it is officially behind. Like, there's falling behind, and then there's now behind, right?
Right.
So does the fall behind start at the 3-year mark, and then it's behind at the 4? Maybe that's right. But then I wonder, first, does Nintendo care? Secondly, if they care enough, what other things do they have in mind? Like, when will they inject some life into it by having a more affordable Nintendo Switch 2 Lite? Maybe it takes a little bit longer.
Switch 1, just for the record. There still hasn't been a price drop for Switch 1.
Jeez.
Still haven't done it.
Yeah. I think
Switch 2 Lite, you think would have? I actually wouldn't be surprised if Switch 2 Lite comes out next year for alongside Pokemon.
Yeah, it could come out then, depending on how the other systems are when those other systems successors come out.
Yeah.
If Nintendo feels the need to, could they do a Nintendo Switch 2 Plus? Nintendo Switch never got one. It got a Lite and an OLED model. Could Nintendo Switch 2 get a Lite and then a Plus? Plus meaning, Pro. I'm just not using Sony's tagline. A Nintendo Switch 2 Plus? Like, that matter, I still think it's possible that Nintendo does a Nintendo Switch Micro, and that would be just, a $100, throw it in your backpack, Nintendo Switch. It's about the size of a Nintendo 3DS XL. It's a smaller screen. Maybe it's got no cartridge slot, or maybe it still has a cartridge slot, but has just a slot for a micro SD XC card. And yeah, a lot of people would buy it as a secondary or tertiary $100 Nintendo Switch, or as an easy gift for someone. Especially, like, you look at the amount of players that are still playing Nintendo Switch, it's still a very healthy ecosystem, stronger than any system 9 years late into the game. More so for Nintendo systems to be this thriving with this type of a community that, yeah, if Nintendo could say, hey, you know what? Forget about barely hitting 160. We got a plan to make this go to 172, Like, a Nintendo Switch Micro at $100 would be very hard to pass for a lot of folks out there.
Oh yeah, it would. But
why would Nintendo release a new system of the old model? They've done it before. The NES Slim came out after Super Nintendo. You know what I mean? They released a black SNES with Killer Instinct right alongside Nintendo 64 coming out.
Right.
They released a Wii Mini basically right when Wii U was dropping. So Nintendo's not against, DSi kind of, geez, you're looking at a 3DS around the corner and you're releasing this DSi thing.
Right.
Nintendo could do a micro version. Like, hard to say if they will, because price and RAM and manufacturing lines, and is it worth it? What's the profit margin anymore? A lot of factors,
There's a ton. There's some questions I want to get to before we head out. But
including
I
the
want to
poll, by
I
the
want
way.
to check the what?
Yeah.
I want to do a couple check a few super chats here first. So the original Radical Jimzo, today I pre-ordered Tomodachi Life living the dream. So happy
Cool.
for you. I'm not going to buy the game, but I know a lot of you are. So I hope you all get to live the dream on April 16th. That's gonna be a great time for all of you. I'm gonna be hyper analyzing that Star Fox trailer because I'm assuming it's gonna be out by then. I hope I'm right. We'll see. I don't know, but more power to you. I'm so happy for you. Eric Tolado. This is another super chat. Thank you. This is probably in reference to when we were talking about when, where in the timeline it might happen. A new timeline story, which kind of goes along the lines with Nate's idea of a reboot, which if it has really good writing, I mean, I think it could definitely work for sure. With that in mind, I will end the poll. No, I shouldn't have ended the poll. Because what I want didn't win. So apparently 34% voted when I asked where in the Star Fox timeline do you want this new one to take place. 34% said, because I did put this in all caps, to be fair, maybe that impacts people's choices, but before the OG story with his dad. That's what won, which kind of surprises me. But after Assault with Crystal, which is what you and I want, is a second leading at 30%. This one throws me. This really throws me. 28%, so very close to the 30, said tell the original story again. Man, I mean, it would have to be like a reboot where they're not retreading the exact same story. It would have to be very different. If it's not very different, I'm going to be annoyed. And then only 8% picked before Crystal joins. I guess a lot of people. I guess people would like to see Crystal. I get it also kind of depends on the implication, right? Like when I said before Crystal joins, I kind of meant between adventures, and before Assault, where we see Crystal join, which I think actually would be really interesting. I didn't word that within the poll, and for that reason, I think that option just died. But we'll see. Having Hope here says, I want to know the original story. So I guess I see where people are coming from with saying the original story. I guess some people just want to see that tale, which goes to what you were saying earlier, though, that story can still be told while still having a story that moves forward. Because the fact of the matter is, there's not that much that they need to actually say. Like they can tell the whole story of the original within a chapter or two.
You know what I thought of? I like my idea with the play a flashback, play a
Yes.
VR mission of the old school. But another thing is DLC. Here's the James McLeod story pack, and it's its own $30 thing that comes with 6 missions, and it's James and Peppy and Pigma on their way to Andros, and first introduction of Peppy Hare and the team and da-da-da. So like, yeah, DLC as a side spin-off thing, Donkey Kong Bonanza style, that's all right.
Sure.
But I do like the idea of a little bit more full of experience. I'm honestly okay with more. Just give me more Star Fox to play.
Yeah, I'll be happy.
That'd be cool. I'm good.
Yeah. Having Hope here ask, I remember Crystal, isn't she supposed to be Fox's girlfriend? Yes. Actually, we have more material for Crystal and Star Fox being together than Peach and Mario. But yeah. Although, I mean, I'm not gonna spoil anything for either series. Connor here asks, what is your guy's opinion on the new enemy for Star Fox series? And that is the Aporoids. I loved the Aporoids in Assault. I think they were really Aporoids. Like that was dark and cool. So I don't know if they come back after Assault, but like I think it was a very cool idea. So do you want to see Andros return, Paul?
Not as the last boss. I'd like the last boss to
cool
not.
Because he was like they had you fight Andros in the beginning of Assault and you wipe him, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, like something like that happened.
Like we're not doing a whole get to the end and fight Andros again, kind of thing. It was
Yeah.
he's brought back and like boom, he's toast.
Yeah, like I don't know, like so like for most of the big antagonists in different Metro and I was saying different Metro games, in different Nintendo games, I want to see them at some like I want to see Ridley in Metroid, right? Like
Right.
I'd be disappointed to not see Bowser, or Ganon.
Yeah.
I don't care about Andros is like not high up there on my tier list of like series villains. I think Wolf is way more interesting than Andros, but I don't know if but Wolf is more like an anti-hero rival, right? He's not necessarily like final big bad either. So I would actually be totally okay with them introducing a completely new villain to the Star Fox series that's way more intimidating and like, feels like more of a threat. Because Andros almost kind of feels comedic. Maybe that's because of my memory of him in Assault, but maybe that was the point. But I don't know. I maybe what they have to do is just make Andros seem cooler. That's possible.
Yeah. Being in there in some capacity, even if it's in this VR/flashback mission, just to see how he was realized would be cool.
Nice. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. But I wouldn't mind a brand new villain. Part of me is thinking of like crossover appeal with the Star Fox movie, though. Would the movie have Andros in it? And then, do you want to have some familiarity still with the game and the movie so that people that are thrown into this new IP aren't like, oh, where's the main bad guy from that? How come the movie has this ape thing and not this lizard robot thing? Like
Sure.
whatever,
Sure.
Or the leader of the dinosaur planet. I forgot.
Yeah. General Scales, if I'm not mistaken.
Scales, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I agree that for the movie, Andros should be in. I think. Listen, I'm okay with Andros being in there, but either he's just kind of like a small episodic. He's not the final big bad, or they redesign him to where he becomes a way cooler final big bad. Because I think Andros, as he's currently established, just doesn't do it for me as a final big bad for a Star Fox game we want for today. Anyway. Another super chat here I want to get to, and then there's a couple questions I want to get to you, Paul, before we close out. Taker, thank you for the super chat. Can I please get my Switch 2 installments of 1080p snowboarding and Wave Race, two franchises that have been dormant since GameCube, but faves of mine? I'm right there with you. I think Nintendo has done a very poor job of keeping their different sporting racing IP relevant outside of the Mario Sports titles. Bring back 1080, bring back Wave Race, bring back the Excite series, bring back, for the love of all that is good, F-Zero. To me, Wave Race and F-Zero need to come back. Need to come back. It's very cool, actually, that Kirby Air Riders was brought back recently. So, at least we got that. But that wasn't a series. They made it a series with Kirby Air Riders, which is neat. But I want to see F-Zero and Wave Race. 1080 would be cool. So right there with you. They got to come back. But it kind of feels like Nintendo is a lot more willing to go back to some of their prior IP now. So I'm not going to give up on it. And I would say, at least with F-Zero, there's a character, right? That is a character-based series. He's one of the OG in Smash. Like, if we're going to be seeing all these different characters make a comeback, F-Zero, I think it needs to be in that conversation as well.
I shared with you before that Nintendo Extreme Sports Racing crossover title idea of mine, right?
I think so.
You jump out of an airplane and you parachute/skydive onto the top of a mountain and you board a snowboard. You go down the slopes in your snowboard until you reach the bottom of the mountain, and you go off a ramp and you land on a jet ski. With the jet ski, cool. You go around the waves, circling back through the ocean until you make your way back into the island. You go off on a ramp and you hop on a motocross bike, and then you're traveling through the jungle, through the mud. Once again, all backwards to forwards gameplay, all either going up and down slopes, up and down waves, or up and down dirt paths, and then you make it to your finish line. And you do 8 different islands like this, starting off from, from the sky as you land on a mountaintop, snowboard, go into wave race, go into excite bike territory. And it's 8 different big, beefy courses while you're on your jet ski here. If you look off to the side, you can still see people in the distance going down the mountain. You might see someone up ahead on their motocross bike. And it's just 24
Sounds like
different
a really cool
courses.
game, man. It sounds like a really cool game.
24 different racetracks. If you want to play them all in sequential order of, I just want to go wave race by wave race by wave race, you could do that in the options. And just the laps are beefy enough that like, oh, that's a several minute course. You know what I mean? So when you're playing one mountain, one island, it's a several minute thing to do the snowboard slopes, the jet ski portion, and the motocross portion. But if you want to just play like all 8 motocross portions, you do. But the main experience is this kind of connected little island hub thingy, and that's a dope. Have 8 to 12 people online playing at the same time on this one mountain, and dude, that's how you bring back those 3. It's almost too good because that's 3 games in one. But that's how you sell people today on just a racing game when you've got Gran Turismo and Forza with hundreds and hundreds of things and da-da-da-da-da, and Mario Kart with hours and hours of this and this. And what's bigger than Mario Kart? Nothing. This is different enough, cool enough that, ooh, this hits. And that's how you don't take away Mario Kart sales because they're so different. It's very different than Kirby Air Riders. And then eventually I think you can afford a proper F-Zero, because F-Zero could work independently, very different than Mario Kart, very different than this Nintendo Extreme Sports Racing idea. They can exist.
Yeah, we could do a podcast on how you bring back F-Zero. We'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
But there was just these 2 questions I wanted to kind of throw out at you before we left here. Given all your knowledge on sales and such, I really wanted your opinion on this. So there's been an opinion that's been going around that Grand Theft Auto coming out later this year is going to pose a significant problem for Switch 2 this holiday. So much so that a lot of people think Nintendo will not come out with a lineup or a significant lineup for the holidays because of it. I strongly disagree with this notion. I was like, I don't see why Nintendo would bow down to the oppressive force of GTA and just choose to not have games to make money on for the holiday season. But I want to know what you think.
I think we're going to have 30 to 32 million at least Nintendo Switch 2s by the end of the year. Nintendo's going to want to satisfy those people with a big game. Could Grand Theft Auto 6 possibly prevent as many Nintendo Switch 2s selling in that pivotal Black Friday through Christmas shopping season? Possibly. But is it not going to sell at all? No, because there are still going to be people that want a Nintendo Switch 2 for Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, the roll-off from the movie, the new DLC coming to Mario Kart World, probably, the new Star Fox game. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is big enough because Zelda has become big enough thanks to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Selling like a third of the franchise history in 2 games, basically, that, no, they're not going to damage their own holiday season. They respect Rockstar. They acknowledge what this game is going to be, especially if GTA 6 is not going to be on Nintendo Switch 2, but we don't know that. It could be. But I think that they will still support their own new system because they still have 32 million fans to satisfy. And even if they don't get as much new hardware, you're still going to have those 30 million owners want that new Zelda or want those other games. And software is what makes Nintendo more money, So no, I don't agree with Nintendo's not going to have anything for the holidays. Will they release Ocarina of Time remake on November 19th like GTA 6? Probably not. But could it still be a November or December title? Yeah.
So,
No.
to follow that, actually,
Yeah.
it's been apparently Special Nick has heard that there's going to be a special Zelda Switch 2 edition to come out for the 40th anniversary alongside this Ocarina of Time remake. I feel like that's gonna. I mean, that's something that sounds so cool. I might have to buy a second Switch too, which I don't know if I could afford that.
Oh.
Maybe I will. I don't know. I normally don't buy two consoles,
Right.
for a reason like that. But I think a lot of people will want that special Zelda Switch 2.
The more epic that game is, the more it's going to be wanted to be purchased in any capacity, whether it's a standalone game, this awesome collector's edition thing with a little statue or a t-shirt or a
Master Sword statue.
Master Sword something.
The OG, well, it's not the OG, but the OG, like the OG 3D Master Sword, like,
like a this one or something.
oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah.
Like something. Zelda's big enough that Zelda's a big girl.
Yeah, she is.
As a franchise, as a character, she can handle it. The game's gonna do all right. It's not gonna sell as well as Grand Theft Auto 6, but it doesn't need to.
I don't think even Breath of the Wild would sell. Like, the
No.
thing is, Grand Theft Auto sells on every platform.
Yeah.
If Breath of the Wild was on every platform, then yeah, maybe it would. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm giving you another question here.
Yeah.
What do you think this Ocarina of Time remake is going to be? Do you think it's going to be like Ocarina of Time 3D upscaled to HD, like a really lame basic Citra emulation? Do you think this is going to be kind of like the same fundamentally as maybe the 3DS version, just adapted for Switch 2, but visually it's going to be kind of like a Metroid Prime remastered? Or do you think this is going to be something more along the lines of like a Resident Evil 2 through 4 remake kind of offering, where it's not only made to look like how a modern Zelda game would look on the console, but it's going to have a new gameplay elements and mechanics and perhaps even areas and such as well, with some different story implications? Or will they go even further and they make this like a 7 remake? Like there's some wiggle room there, but I think I've described the spectrum. Where do you think the spectrum you think this is going to fall? And I'm going to throw out one more thing. I don't know how much you've paid attention to Special Nick. I mentioned him multiple times because he said some really interesting things lately. But he said he's heard it's supposed to be a big budget. And Nate the Hate in his podcast said full remake, which there's a lot of room for interpretation there still. But that's what I would say credible people have heard about this. It doesn't tell us exactly what it is, but that's what the credible people have said about this.
So I'm going to kind of share what I hope, and what I hope, I'm just going to take a couple of notches from my hope to what I think. And that's going to be something between like Resident Evil 2 remake and Final Fantasy 7 remake. I don't think that for the 40th anniversary of the Zelda series, for the fact that this game is probably going to be just a mere 6 months removed from the Zelda movie, that they're going to want to make the last Zelda imprint in people's minds to be, this is what the game is reflected of this 1998 technology with these type of controls and only this many buildings in Kakariko Village, when I just formerly played this massive world in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I came back to this. This is what you want to sell people on Zelda 6 months before the movie comes out on May 7th. That's how close it's going to be, right? November and May. That's 6 months.
Some people might say, well, we got Galaxy 1 and 2. It was very basic remasters, but I think there's a big difference.
Mario's a little bit
games
bigger.
have aged gracefully.
You've already had a Mario movie. Mario is bigger, and a CG Mario seems to be maybe safer. because it's also a sequel, that I think Zelda, you want to go bigger and harder. Also, the fact that it's been more time removed from Ocarina of Time 3D to now than N64's Ocarina to the 3D one, like more time has passed, so the expectation is to be greater, coupled with the fact that Nintendo has seen what is a remake capable of from other people. And you don't want to be left in the sidelines of like, well, geez, when Capcom does it, they do this. And then when Square Enix does it, they do this. And when Activision, they does this. And when Nintendo does it, for their best game of all time, for their highest game of all time,
for the game that will help them to compete this holiday.
What's that?
For the game that will be their main driver this holiday.
Yeah, they're defining game this holiday, the game to put the last imprint in people's minds of what Zelda is before the movie comes out. Them hyping up this Zelda Lego Ocarina of Time set and all this stuff, and just
Soft interviews that have interestingly only just started now after they finished the Mario 40th anniversary stuff.
I think it's it tries to stay true to what Ocarina of Time is. It's not as big as Breath of the Wild, nor I think should it be. But here's how I think that they navigate around that. Like, you have the Hyrule field, and you expand Hyrule by 3 times. You have where you go to Kakariko Village, but it's 3 times larger, meaning more buildings and stuff. The graveyard, 3x the size. And 3 times isn't that big, but it's big enough to feel different. The Hyrule Castle town and the journey to have to walk to the Temple of Time and where that is in comparison to Hyrule Castle, everything 3 times, all right? Zora's Domain, as Child Link and stuff, 3x the size, all of that. However, 3 times isn't that big because that entire Ocarina of Time map all fits within Breath of the Wild's opening area. Do you know that?
Yeah. Look at the map I have on. You see the map I have on screen here?
Yeah.
So I saw this on Twitter from Artur. This is the Ocarina of Time map, the entire world map of Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
And in relation to the entire world map of Twilight Princess was so much bigger than Ocarina of Time, right?
Yeah.
You can see Wind Waker's map just here. Like, there's more of Wind Waker's, right? But the Wind Waker's is actually really big, but it's just one giant ocean and very few like actual land masses. If you combine all the land masses, it might even be smaller than Ocarina of Time. It's comparable, but water-wise, it's huge. But now you look at the map for Breath of the Wild in comparison. Like the map of Ocarina of Time, where's the Great Plateau? This is the Great Plateau right here. It's about the same size. Like, this is not one circle. This is closer to a circle, right? But it's obviously big gaps. Like, you're right. There's such a drastic difference in map size. It's insane.
So here's how you make it, because 3 times the size allows them wiggle room to make it bigger, more volume filled, make the graphics really shine because you're not worried about making this traumatic world, just giant world. But here's where you do get it to be bigger. On the side of Death Mountain, the side that you cannot normally see at all, you have the dark side of the moon. You have you could go to the other side of Death Mountain, and there's more caverns and there's more stuff that's not in the original. When you go to Zora's Domain, after the side, or Lake Hylia, I should say, when you go to the side of Lake Hylia, you go over and you actually have some ocean front. Oh, and you have some caves that are hidden inside the walls of these mountains and these grottos that go down, and maybe one little island off to the side, like I'm talking California, and you got Los Angeles and Catalina Island that you could go there if that makes sense to anybody. But like, not like a whole, throw in Wind Waker there. No, not like that, but just to the side. Behind Hyrule Castle, here's a little thing. In the desert, when you travel, here's the main stuff with the Gerudo, here's the dungeon, but to the side, the desert expands. So this is a way how you could have Ocarina of Time's map that everybody loves, but 3 times the size to allow you to do more with Kakariko Village and make it actually feel like it takes longer to get in between things. The day and night cycle makes more sense because it is a longer travel. But uninterrupting that, post the game's normal walls, you have longer stuff. Beyond the Deku Tree, not to interrupt that area, the area is just 3 times the size when Link approaches the Great Deku Tree. But after that, you have some filled forests that extend out and more challenging gameplay and stuff like that. So that's what I would do to expand the game. I would like voice acting in it. I would like some nice cinema scenes. I would love to have the option of, in between this 7-year slumber of Links, play as Sheik and give me the opportunity to, as Sheik, do certain things, go in these grottos, leave these chests and these heart pieces for one day when Link wakes up, he is the one to find it. And I was the one to put it there as Sheik. And now as Link, as an adult, oh, the terrain has changed a little bit, but I know where to go. So not quite. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake did it to the extreme where in the old game, but it's also how they kind of had to do it because the old game was pre-rendered for much of the game's visuals. But you had these 2 hands like this in the subway or in the underground area in FF7. Yeah. And in the old school one, you just walked like this, and that scene was done. What they did to Final Fantasy VII Remake was like, here, let's just make this whole big 40-minute segment of this underground area with these hands and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think Ocarina of Time needs to change it up that much, but I'm thinking like more than a coat of paint, a little bit more than RE2's faithfulness at recreating it but making it fresh. Treat this as if it's a new Zelda game, but just with a classic story, almost. Can you do some modern conventions like, so many people love
manual jumping.
Manual jumping. So many people love the sailcloth from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. How do you do that now? Yeah. You have young Link able to hold on to or ride Kaiporo Gaiporo, the owl, over Hyrule as an extra way of navigate. Adult Link is too heavy to sit on, but he could just glide to areas. He's like, you gotten heavier, boy. And he grabs them by here, and you have fun little things. And like, you could teleport, because you could teleport in the old game. He wrapped you in his arms, and right? But now you could maybe ride on him. So that's how you breathe some new elements that have since been cool in Zelda. But you don't change it up too much, but you do have more characters. You do have, like, the Kokiri children in the Kokiri forest.
Right.
You have the main guys, Asaria and Mallow and stuff, but you've got more houses to see, more side missions to do. You still have a race against the postman, but you still do Bigoron quest, but, like, more. I think you got to treat it like a big deal, because it is a big deal. Not too much to mess with it, but you have unlimited power and potential, and one of the best games of all time as the foundation. Don't just recode it with a new coat of paint. That's what I
have a dream team to be behind this remake.
I
have a dream team. You ready?
Yeah.
This is the dream team. So we've heard it's a collaborative effort. We are getting all these seeming signs that Monolith Soft is taking on a larger and larger role with Zelda. Yeah. Like, after these recent interviews, we're now learning that they're responsible for a lot of creative decisions with the characters and level design and all that stuff, and how the gameplay works. So, like, they're clearly demonstrating that they can do. They're essentially an expansion of the 3D Zelda team. Essentially, they are they're more 3D Zelda team. That's kind of what they've become. And so my vision for the perfect team is you still have oversight and help from the Zelda team, right? People who have experience with the prior games and dungeons and stuff, and they still have Ocarina of Time as kind of like a blueprint to follow. But you have Monolith Soft as the main Nintendo studio. As I said, there's still help from elsewhere with the Nintendo, but the main Nintendo studio is Monolith Soft, and they're bringing in From Software.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the ultimate vision, because From Software could come in there really help with the lore. Well, they can work together. That'd be interesting because Monolith Soft was also really great with lore and story and side quests and stuff. But from a combat perspective, From Software has such a good, pedigree. I think they could make something crazy. Now, maybe that'd be too difficult. Maybe this wouldn't be. I'm just talking about like a dream thing. I'm not predicting that From Software is actually involved. Just to be clear, but Monolith Soft, I do think is definitely. They're 100% involved. The question is, are they the main developer or are they just doing a collaborative? Like, are they just doing assistance? 100% is too strong, but I'm definitely very, very, very confident they're involved. Yeah, but there's so much they can do. Like I look at so like when Jabu Jabu, right?
Yep.
The big whale, the big fish.
Yeah.
You see him inside the fountain. And I pull up the map here, just kind of have like a neat little reference. But like, so does it show here? I think the idea is it's like back here, right? And so you're like, okay, the fish is here, but when you come back later, the fish is gone, and you're like, where did the fish go? Like, how do you escape? Like, it'd be interesting if they, like you mentioned, like if there is like a giant ocean behind here, right? Which in Breath of the Wild there is. It'd be cool to show that visually at least. Like even if you can't explore it, to at least see that in the distance. So like you have like you can at least make connections for how this makes sense. I would love that. People have talked about how like you over here, this part of the map, there isn't really much there. Like in the game, right? Like this is the main gate. I guess is like here. When you go to this side, it's just like there's like a hole for a cow or something, and that's it. There's like nothing here, So it's like a very interesting like emptiness there. The desert's actually fairly fleshed out considering the time, but it would be interesting if they could bring in the Hebrew Mountain, right? There's no Hebrew Mountain. There's no ice snowy area. There's no giant. Excuse me. There is. Oh, sorry. The congestion from my sickness is still there a little bit.
Okay.
There is an ice cavern, right? But there's no giant region that's snowy, right? There's no Hebrew Mountain. So it would be crazy if they added a whole snow region. How crazy would that be? Yeah. Like they could do that. I think they should add a light temple where the Temple of Time is. No longer should Castle Town be like pre-rendered. It should be a fully 3D expanded environment where you have full analog camera control, all that stuff. I think every dungeon should be redesigned, by the way.
Yeah.
With new mechanics in mind. Like there's still going to be an essence they try to retain from the originals, but it's going to be something new. If you want to play Ocarina of Time, it's already on Nintendo Classics. This is a new experience of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we could go on and on.
Yep.
But, I think that's maybe a good good point to wrap up on here. Yeah, I'll just check with the chat real quick. I don't know if there's any points you want to make before we close out, Paul, but we got this super chat here from Taker. It'd be a shame if Majora's Mask remake is not planned. I agree. It would be a shame. My take has been that this Ocarina of Time remake opens the door for that. Mm-hmm. I really do kind of think we've talked about. We brought up Final Fantasy, we brought up Capcom, Square Enix, and Capcom. They have separate teams making the remakes and the new games. I think Nintendo should do the same thing. I think they should establish a framework where they still have the main team making the open air Zelda. They have Grezzo making the 2D Zelda, and now they can have whatever it is, this team that they've cobbled together with all their different people. That becomes a new pipeline, a new development pipeline for a third Zelda series, right? Not just open air, not just 2D, but also this remake series, this ambitious remake series. And so that helps to kind of give us big Zelda games in between these super long 6 to 8 year development cycles for 3D Zelda. Hopefully it stays to 6 years. I've been saying 6 to 8. I guess what's interesting is if Ocarina of Time remake comes out 3.5 years after Tears of the Kingdom, do we have to wait another 3.5 years for? I don't think we have to, I don't. Maybe though. Maybe we do have to wait another 3.5 years after this remake for the next new 3D Zelda, which I guess would position it in 2030. That feels like maybe too far off, but that's a trajectory though. So that's the thing. So you kind of need. That's why you need stuff like this.
Yeah. You have Ocarina within, let's say, 28 at the earliest.
Earliest.
2 years. 2 years from Ocarina of Time.
Earliest.
You have the next big Zelda game, which would be 7.5 years removed of Tears of the Kingdom. That's 5.5. Sorry.
Yeah, which is
5.5.
kind of a
which is
short turnaround compared to what we've seen.
That's a little light. So maybe at the earliest. So let's call it 29. Let's call it 29. You know,
29.
6.5 years.
29,
Okay.
yeah.
And then maybe if that's too big of a gap, 3 years. What if? See, but then it looks a little congested. What if you have Majora's Mask in between the two, or you have it after? Because Majora's Mask, don't forget, like Ocarina was the big 4-year development cycle game. Majora's Mask was done with those assets in 2.
Yeah.
So maybe this current Ocarina of Time has been in development for 6. Maybe the Majora's Mask being a smaller game, but with the whole engine already built up for Ocarina of Time remake, can be busted out in 3. You know, not to rush it, but you have so much done in building up how you want the thing to look that now it's just expanding. Not like an easy task, but proportionately, it would be a smaller undertaking.
It would be interesting
Maybe.
to see because, Majora's Mask, they borrowed so many assets from Ocarina of Time, right? Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't do that. So if they were to do an ambitious remake, would they literally just take the same characters, give them different names and roles? You know what I mean? Like we're talking about the same exact character models. Like, would they go that far? You know what I mean? Like, will they do that? Will they do that exact same thing for an ambitious remake of Majora's Mask? And that's a tough question that I can't, because you lose something. Either way, it's weird. It's weird because it was weird to do in the beginning to begin with, but also if you do makes a new character designs as opposed to just borrowing from all the old stuff, then you're losing what was Majora's Mask's weird charm, where it kind of felt like an alternate reality sort of thing by doing this.
I'm going to say yes, because I am, in my vision, making Ocarina of Time's map 3 times bigger by having more people populate Castletown, more people populate Kakariko Village, more people populate the Gerudo Valley and the Zora's Domain and the Kokiri Forest. So, yes, rip the same people from Majora's Mask and use those same things, but then also add more to Majora's Mask. So you're getting a little bit of best of both worlds. You know what I mean? You're getting the, like you said, the alternate reality almost of Ocarina. But what you did with Ocarina Remake and throwing in some new, you're throwing in some new here too. And I think that might be the best of both. And maybe you throw in another dungeon or 2 or something, like, I don't know. But you also got to realize, like, Nintendo's going to be around for a long time, right? We're looking at their 5-year, 10-year plan. But what are they going to do in 30 years? What are they going to remake for Zelda's 60th anniversary? You know what I mean? Are they going to run through all their remakes and then not have anything for when the franchise turns 70? Or are they going to go back and do a Breath of the Wild or Ocarina of Time for a 3rd time? Like, Nintendo's going to be 200 years from now. I mean, now we're talking, it's way too hard to see that because they don't even have a timeline that long. But there's
an interesting thing.
There's more to be done than just in these next 5 to 10 years. They got decades and
You're
decades.
absolutely right, but let me tell you something. We're just thinking about ambitious remakes for the games that are already 3D. But when we're talking about, like, you look, if we're talking about Resident Evil, Final Fantasy level remakes, they're remaking some really simplistic games. Like Final Fantasy VII was a 2D game.
Yeah,
basically it had two.
Yeah.
It was a 2D game with 3D visuals for the fights. So I'm just saying, there's a whole bunch of other Zelda games out there that they could go back and do 3D remakes for, 3D reimaginings.
Yeah.
Like imagine Minish Cap retold with a modern 3D Zelda engine, or
Yeah.
Zelda 2. Imagine Zelda 2. Zelda 2 would be crazy, and that would have a huge combat focus with a super huge map.
I have pitched to them the idea of it, but there's a lot more. But I would like Way Forward to do an ambitious 2D remake of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
Really?
Action, 2D, cell shaded, cool looking art.
You've pitched it to Way Forward. Has Way Forward pitched it to Nintendo?
I don't know. Hand drawn scenes, because I've like last year, a couple years ago, like there's been times when I've been at the studio either for Indie Mania or visiting them where we talked, and like I was on their podcast and behind the scenes I'm like, man, I love you guys to do this. Here's what I think I could see happening, and etc. So they were positively receptive of this nice idea. But that would be cool, in my opinion, because that game is its own thing, and it would look way different and be a way different Zelda experience today. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, give that to Square Enix and say, hey, we like your HD 2D reimagining stuff, but we want it cranked up further. And that would be a fitting art style of, something like Live Alive or Octopath Traveler applied to A Link to the Past from that same SNES era, but then like cranked up, dang. Yeah, Nintendo's got a lot. And yeah. You got the Oracle of Ages games and Oracle of Seasons. Like you said, Minish Cap. I don't think everything should be, by the way, in the Link's Awakening chibi style. I don't want that to be played out. I don't want to become like, it was fine for that game. It was fine for Echoes of Wisdom, but I don't want that art style for like A Link to the Past, or for Zelda 2, or if they did a Zelda. I don't want that art style to become associated with eventually what happened with the new style in New Super Mario Bros, where it's like, oh man, I'm kind of getting tired of this look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I threw up like the 2D cell shaded style for Way Forward to do, that game.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Or 3D, like you said, it could be cool too. There's lots of different ways different types of cool.
I guess, but now I am thinking about what happens once they've already remade all the remakes, like, because eventually that day comes, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, let's look at one where we're going to see how they handle it eventually. So Capcom is eventually going to run out of games to remake for the Resident Evil games, right? Because they're going through them fast.
You'll do 0, you'll do 1, Code Veronica. Do you do the light gun shooting games on Wii, like, Dark Side Chronicles, Umbrella Chronicles? Do you do Revelations for 3DS? And you just slowly do them all until everything has a remake. And then at that point, it'll be like 15 years between Resident Evil 2 and whatever the latest remake, like a 20-year gap,
Yeah, but
depending on how
with diminishing returns, like, it's kind of hard for me to see. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Resident Evil 2 remake is so good as is. Like, it would be weird to see them remake it again. I mean, I don't know how. Maybe 15 years from now, advancements will have been so crazy. They're like, you know what? Do it again. But
I mean, if you're PlayStation, you do The Last of Us every 3 years.
Yeah,
I joke, kind of.
Yeah, I'm excited for Code Veronica getting remade though. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
That'd
be cool.
Anyway. Oh, what were you saying?
Oh no. Yeah. We don't know what the future will hold. My dream kind of is for every 50th anniversary of a Nintendo game, I would like to see a remake of it. So if it hasn't happened by then, for that game's 50th anniversary, I want there to be something. Like if Super Mario 64 somehow, it's already 30 years old, somehow it doesn't get remade within the next 19 years for that game's 50th anniversary in 2046, right? I want to see a remake of it for whatever system that is. If the original Punch-Out has not been remade yet by, that game's 50th anniversary, I want to see a remake of the original Punch-Out. Give me that for every game that Nintendo has done, because 50 years in between is a long time. Even, you know what I mean? Like even like Breath of the Wild, yeah, I want to see a remake of it in 50 years. It's hard to think of.
I actually think we're really well positioned for the Twilight Princess remake to happen for the 50th anniversary.
We're not that far off. We're 10 years away.
Right, which I know 10 years is a long time, but 10 years is also like...
That's a development cycle and a half. It's if people are like, oh, 10 years, what are you talking about? Dude, like a Zelda game takes 7 years. You're basically looking at a development...
take that long. And I think the idea is that these developers want to catch up. They want their R&D and streamlining. They want to streamline their process enough where dev cycles aren't as long and expensive. I think it's kind of a big problem that it's now taken this long. It's too much investment for one single game. It is. But there's also the increasing expectations for what people want in a game too. So there's that tug of war there.
Fortunately, Nintendo is building a brand new building for development across the street from their other Kyoto base. So they are going to have a lot more manpower within the next couple of years.
They're continually expanding. We look at these Microsoft interviews. They're continually hiring, right? Microsoft opened up a new R&D team, for sure. They need to continue to expand. I mean, Nintendo acquired Nintendo Singapore not too long ago, right? Now they were already working a lot with Bandai Namco, so they kind of already had that help, but now it's officially like a Nintendo studio. So it's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of that studio. But anyways, it's getting late. Paul, you're incredible as always. It was always a great chat with you. Just guess one random day. When are we seeing that Star Fox reveal? One random day this month. Give me a date. Guess. No pressure.
Oh boy.
You have like a 5% chance of being right. It's fine.
Oh. I want to say tomorrow and just be right. I'm going to go with...
my prediction is tomorrow.
I should say that so that you could clip it tomorrow and be like, so I had Paul Gale Network on last night. He said it's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, just for fun, I'm going to say it. You know what? Let me say like 30 options so that you could clip the right one. So when it happens, you could be like, Paul Gale. What a cop out.
Profit.
No, I'm gonna go with April 22nd.
Okay. That's good.
3 weeks of the movie being in the box office. They're gonna drop it, and then they're gonna attach it to the end of the movie. And just as the movie is having its normal trajectory downwards and starts to rival with Weekend 4 against something else, it's going to be a little bit of a boost. And then that's going to be from April 22nd to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Yeah. 5, 6. 6 weeks until the June 4th release of the game. Potentially 9 weeks if it comes out the 25th. So those are my windows.
I actually, even though I want the reveal to happen sooner, I mean, I think that falls within expectation. And what's interesting is that I personally think it would be a late June release, the 25th, which is a 9-week window basically, and that 9-week window falls in line with how they've handled Yoshi Mysterious Book and Mario Kart World, 2 other games that had very short turnarounds from release date announcement to release date actually. So
I think Yoshi and Star Fox.
Might be it. We may have to wait a few weeks, my friends.
Yeah.
22nd.
I think Yoshi and Star Fox can exist 2 weeks apart, but if they're 5 weeks
Yeah.
apart, it helps Yoshi out a little more, I think. Because I think Star Fox is going to be the bigger deal this spring/early summer, because technically June doesn't start till like the 22nd, you know. I mean, summer doesn't start till like the 22nd of June or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I hope it's tomorrow, but I honestly, I think what you said makes a lot of sense. So,
you know what? I'm just going to say this. Stay tuned
tomorrow
for the reveal of the brand new Star Fox game. You heard it here first with Andres Restart. It's coming to Nintendo Switch 2 tomorrow. Watch that. There.
And
now
I'll
that I
flip
made that,
and put a different date.
you could just do it whenever, and it'll work.
Yeah, hilarious.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah. Anyways, everyone, check out Paul Gale. Both his YouTube channel and Twitter are linked in the description below. Amazing person, amazing content, amazing information. So, check him out.
Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure. Super fun.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good night, guys. See you later.